All right, what's going on, people? It's
What it
Q.
do?
I'm here. I'm here with the To Be Fair show plus a couple panelists. This is episode one of Unpacked, where we're gonna kind of do a deeper dive. If you tuned into the To Be Fair show, you know we hit quick little 10-minute, 20-minute spurts of conversations, but we don't really get to really unpack things a lot, really dive
Mhm.
deep. So uh, Unpacked is a series that is specifically for diving deep into very specific, nuanced conversations. Today, we're going to bring y'all Biden, Trump, and the Black Vote. I have a fire ass panel with me. I'm gonna allow them all to introduce themselves. I'm gonna kind of go clockwise up at the top. Vo, I'll let you kind of off.
Well, what's going on, good people? Yeah, Evo the artist, or Evo, Vo, however people want to call it. And I am a conservative. So,
Okay.
uh, born in born and raised in NC, but have traveled to many places around this country. So, yeah.
All right, sound good. Top right corner, we got Tone. I'll let you
Uh,
introduce yourself.
yeah, Tone. I'm normally behind the scenes on the To Be Fair show, but I ain't behind the scenes today. From Charlotte, North Carolina. I'm independent.
I thought you was MAGA.
I don't consider myself. I don't go no way, no
Okay.
one route.
All right. Bottom, y'all see him all the time on the To Be Fair show.
Oh yeah, what up?
But Johnny, talk to the people.
What up? What up? What up? It's your boy Johnny P, host of the To Be Fair show. Southern gentleman, born and raised in the Carolinas. Registered. I'm an independent. I was lifelong Democrat, but last 5 6 years I've been independent. So I'm here to really break some things down and see what we got going on for November. So looking forward to it.
Gotcha. And last but not least, from the G-ish podcast, let me let you hit the horns and all that. Go ahead.
Hey.
Y'all know what it is. It is G from the G Shit Podcast, one and only from the Bull City, Durham, born and raised, and similar to Johnny P, grew up Democrat, voted for Obama for the first time when I could vote, and now I am unaffiliated, independent. I'm a free agent.
Gotcha. I guess this ice breaking question before we really dive into it. We got a couple topics. What has shaped where you are at politically right now? Try and keep it short. I know that's kind of like an in-depth question, but what would y'all say have shaped where you at politically right now?
I say just access to information, and just the more I've learned, the more I've questioned some of my previous affiliations.
Mm-hmm.
I definitely say my experience. It's time, like just my overall experience. Like, I did vote for Obama the first term that he ran. That second one, I didn't vote for him because he hadn't did anything. Same. It's like so. I look at what's going on.
Okay.
I have to say the same thing as well. I think it was like the experiences, information, like access to information, and also just getting out of groups, man. Just like really being like to myself and like finally seeing from the outside looking in, opposed to being on the inside look. So I voted for Obama back in '08, and yeah, I didn't do the second term, but I always voted local.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Every chance I get, I always vote local.
Word. Yeah, I mean, I'm pretty much in the same boat, but I'll just to say something a little bit to add on. For me, what was big was traveling, going to other countries, living in other countries, seeing how other systems function, and realizing that what we have here isn't the only way to do things, and you can still function doing it some other ways too. So that was kind of what opened up my eyes.
Gotcha. So, G, I guess with that quick question, how important would you say rhetoric is? Because you said like traveling abroad, which deals a lot with just perception and shit, right?
Mm-hmm.
Um, how important do you think rhetoric is when it comes down to like presidential, or like the presidential quote unquote decorum?
Well, I'll say, like, you know, when I was living overseas, it was right when Trump got elected. So it was at the turn of you know, what we knew as traditional politics, and folks over there were talking crazy about us, no question. Like every time I would interact, they want to talk about Trump. What is he doing? But then the other side of that coin was they were going through Brexit. But see, we didn't really talk about that as much here from what the UK was doing over as it relates to the EU. So the movement was bigger than just the United States, if we're being real in terms of that type of energy.
Nah, I dig it. I guess before we get into it, anybody else got any remarks on that?
Yeah, no,
that was perfect, honestly.
So
Like, as far as
decorum doesn't matter for y'all. Niggas ain't got to be presidential. I mean, it's cool with me. I don't know.
Yeah, not as far as rhetoric.
I'll say this.
Go ahead, John.
I think a lot of time decorum, and so some of it's based in a lot of systems I think we're trying to get away from. And I think breaking away from some of those molds might not necessarily be a bad thing, especially if we're talking about black folks. Just, you know, not the traditional what a president looks like. You know, breaking away from that mold might not, you know, hurt us as much. I don't know. You know, this is what I think.
Nah, I dig it. Go ahead.
Oh no, I was just saying, as far as like the rhetoric and like propaganda and things of that nature, you know, as far as like this generation or, you know, this age group or group, whatever you want to call it, just finally trying to break out the mold of what our parents, grandparents, and friends and family that we're all around. I mean, a lot of it, you know, it's just a different time, and hopefully, you know, we will continue that change moving forward as well.
Okay. So I'm gonna get into the first topic is either candidate quote unquote racist, and is there a specific appeal for racism that benefits either party? My boy Tony, he done sent over a couple clips. We'll start with that. We're gonna keep it a little bit like the To Be Fair show, where we're gonna play a couple clips and we'll react and we'll build our conversation off of that. And again, let me also lay this out there. Audience, feel free to interact, feel free, comment. We're gonna kind of chat back and forth with y'all. We'd love to hear y'all opinions and all the conversation that we have. All right, let me find the clip. Here we go.
It's not that. Let's celebrate Black History Month with some of Joe Biden's most inspiring words about Black people.
Okay. I want to come to you and talk to you about inequality in schools and race.
Dark Brandon, unapologetically racist.
We bring social workers into homes and parents to help them deal with how to raise their children. It's not that they don't want to help. They don't know quite what to do. Poor kids are just as bright and just as talented as white kids. Unlike the African-American community, with notable exceptions, the Latino community is an incredibly diverse community.
Yeah, right. Yeah,
with incredibly different attitudes about different things.
All right.
You got more questions, but I tell you, if you have a problem figuring out whether you're for me or Trump, and you ain't black.
Sequestered in my home is because some black woman was able to stack the grocery shelf.
I'm like the token black or the token woman. I was the token young person.
They're going to put you all back in chains.
Old school.
I have great relationships with them because there's an awful lot of driving cabs.
They will, or a portion of them will, become the predators 15 years from now. And Madam President, we have predators on our streets.
And tried to reassign blame and said that I should apologize to him.
Corey should apologize. He knows better. Oh, come on, man. Give me a break. You know better.
Come on, man, me.
He lied to voters, according to the New York Times, quoting aides of Biden's, about having marched in the civil rights movement.
I come out of the civil rights movement. I was one of those guys that sat in and marched and all that stuff. But I was not out marching. I was not down in Selma. Amazing. I was not anywhere else. I happen to think that the one way to ensure that you set the civil rights movement in America further back is to continue to push busing.
And I support the
effort to curtail the ability of courts to bust. They're going to integrate people so that they all have the same access and they learn to grow up with one another and all the rest is a rejection of the whole movement of Black pride.
Wow.
All right, we're gonna hop into the most recent Trump, I guess, montage attempt.
Productive weekend for our former president. And when I say productive, of course, I mean not even the slightest bit productive, but he did a lot of talking. Specifically, Donald Trump was asked to show up at a gala for the Black Conservative Federation, where he was given the Champion of Black America Award, which is already funny, but previous recipients of the Champion of Black America Award include no one. They made it up specifically for him. Because when you think about the true champions of Black America, you think Obama, you think Dr. King, you think Rosa Parks, and you think of this man.
These lights are so bright in my eyes that I can't see too many people out there. But I can only see the black ones. I can't see any white ones. You see? That's how far I've come. That's how far I've come. That's a long way, isn't it?
I don't know. Is it a long way? I don't know. Maybe in terms of macular degeneration, it's a long way. But see, now he used to be very racist. Now he can't even see white people. That's how I can only see the black ones.
Don't forget, I'm up here now rapping to you guys for 45 minutes without any notes because this stupid teleprompter wasn't working.
He's rapping. This was quite an event. The whole time I was waiting for Borat to pop out from behind the curtain. It's the notorious PIG freestyled on a variety of topics, all designed to let Black people know how beloved he is by Black people.
The Black people are so much on my side now because they see what's happening to me happens to them. I built a lot of buildings, and I want to tell you, a Black worker is a great worker. You've done an incredible job. You know, Cary Grant, was this very handsome guy. I'm going to put it more in this. Sidney Poitier, I thought he was very handsome. Do we give it to Barry Bonds or Babe Ruth? Huh? Barry? Okay, I'm with Barry. Hey, especially tonight. I'm with Barry. I'm being indicted for you, the Black population. You see, Black people walking around with my mugshot. Black people really like Trump. My favorite color is black.
That is some kung fu pandering right there. That is the best part of the whole thing. And this was very difficult to find, by the way, because there were no shots of the crowd at this Black conservative gala. They kept the camera tightly focused on the stage. And I said, please, you got to find some video of the crowd. And we did find some video of the crowd. And now I think I know why they were focused on the stage. Because as you can see, a lot of these Black people are very white people. I was working on what they call a solid hunch for that one. And I think it's important to note that in 1989, Donald Trump took out a huge ad in the New York Daily News demanding the death penalty for a group of mostly Black teenagers who later turned out to have been wrongfully accused. Not only has he not ever apologized for that, now he's like, I'm just like you.
All right, so I'll have that as the alley-oop, I guess I'll say. Of the conversation, Rail, I guess before we get into it, he said, I heard that there were white folk in the room, which is why we never seen a crowd. Like Jimmy Kimmel kind of showed that. I don't know. That was the montage of both of them. React. What do y'all feel?
I'll say, I mean, I'm not a big fan of either one of the guys, but I think Trump's version of racism is a little less harmful. It's just jokes. Some of it's laughable. A lot of it's laughable, actually. But the stuff Joe Biden says is it's a little more troubling because you see the effects of what he's done more so than like the effects of what Trump messed up. Like he had an article in the paper. He didn't let some people get housed and not good, but it's a million niggas in jail right now because of some of the stuff Joe Biden did. And I probably shouldn't have said that word. I got to work on that.
You had a whole topic about that. So does anybody think that either candidate is actually racist?
I think Biden's racist. Straight up.
You say you think Biden's racist?
Yeah.
I think based on what we've defined racism as, he's the only one that could fit in that category.
Yeah, he fit perfectly.
It's the you know better type stuff. Like when that's kind of like the like know your place type thing. Kind of like what happened with Shannon Sharp and Skip Bayless. Like when he took his glasses off, like you know better type thing. Like that right there is like that's a deep condition for sure. I mean, like and like what Newton said earlier, like it seems to be like more like this is an actual systematic thing. The stuff that people keep on talking about or pulling up, about Trump is stuff that when he wasn't even a president, or even someone that was even in a political office. And a lot of times it's really just it's a reach sometimes. Like, yeah, I mean, he might say some little quirky stuff or what have you, but I mean, if we want to talk about the pandering, I mean, come on now, like Hillary with the hot sauce in the bag, like like Kamala Harris, like sitting there dancing with all these people, like just I mean the most ratchet stuff that you had ever seen inside the White House, mind you. And you got these people who felt so inspired about this. I'm like, hello, like, do y'all even know what the policies are? Like, so when it comes to like both of them, like everyone has a preconceived prejudice. Like we all have our own prejudices, but some people have more power or will have more power and more of the resources to actually implement some of their beliefs. I mean, I don't know. I can really do a deep dive on that.
Now we'll keep building. D, how you feeling?
I mean, I think personally, both of them I would classify as being racist. And maybe at worst case or at best case scenario, they're racist adjacent, like they're okay with racism as an institution. And so I think I tend to lean on the side of the like Malcolm would say the liberals were like wolves in sheep's clothing. And I think you have to be careful with that side, and because they don't always seem as what they really appear, versus with the other side, I don't think it's necessarily a better form. It's just maybe a more tolerable form because you're gonna kind of know what you're getting up front.
Right, they're more overt with it. Yeah. That dude. Oh gosh, that is so true. But yeah.
So I guess I'll ask this question: will a candidate being racist, quote unquote, either however you want to kind of define it, or racist adjacent, would that actually impact you voting for them?
I got one. I'll say this before I answer that question. I want to end with this. I don't think either one of them particularly like black people that much. Now I think there's a difference when we talk about like racism and we talk about institutions, but I don't think either one of them are like really care about black culture and the average black person too much. With that being said, I don't think we voted for racists or people that could be considered racist before. Plenty of times.
You said we have, right?
Yeah.
Joe Wilson.
So I think it's not about whether they're racist or not that we should be looking at. We should be looking at like which candidate aligns more with our values. Because I mean, you could look at anybody and he's racist or he said this and he did that. You could pick apart either one of them, and I don't think we should like have a race to the bottom, so to say. We should look at each candidate and look at like what can we take from what they offer and that fits with what we're trying to do.
Right, and I guess I was building that question to go to the point of whether you believe or don't believe in it impacting goes straight to the idea that we already typically condemn of like the every 4-year race debate that happens no matter what. So whether you think Biden is racist, whether you think Trump is racist, the race card typically comes out every 4 years. And if you're allowing that to sway you in any way and not actually pay attention to what the policies are, I don't know. I think that, you know what I mean, you're kind of being fooled in itself.
One thing I do want to note, and I sent the video on this too. No black people was talking about Trump being racist before he was elected president or before he was running for president.
Right.
It wasn't even a thing. Like
he was a part of hip hop culture.
Exactly. They was literally making songs about him. Like, it's so many hip hop lyrics that's referring to Donald Trump. You see him in pictures with all type of black people. Like, yeah. So that's one thing I want to know. But Biden was definitely noted as a racist before he ran for anything.
So would Biden being racist swing your vote?
Nah, because I think all these people be racist anyway to some degree. Like the same, like I'm not letting that swing my vote at this point, because I think we've been dealing with racists in the presidential positions
for forever.
For forever. I don't think it's anything new. It's who for me, like at this point, because I'm not even like a big fan of Trump. I want to make sure I make that clear too. I'm not like no big fan of Trump. He has his flaws too, but I don't think racism is the thing. But yeah, I don't think racism is the thing with him.
Gotcha. Let me read this comment. Rail says true. He really only targeted Hispanics outside of the Central Park 5. I don't know. Y'all got commentary for that?
Yeah, I mean, I think he had. I think he was fair. I mean, he had a little bit of smoke for everybody. He had stuff for China. He had stuff for us. I mean, I think.
I mean,
that's a true racist. That's a true racist. It's
like a stand-up comedian. Everybody
smoke for everybody. He's a true bona fide racist.
Stand-up comedian is the word, though. Stand-up is the word.
My bias is unbiased.
Yeah, I think that's better.
So,
she said, why would you want a man who doesn't give a rat's ass about? I mean, gives a rat's behind about you. I heard him say rat's ass many times, so I went ahead and applied that. But she spoke more openly that he's a racist. I think she's referring to Trump. But to me, I think that goes to the Malcolm X statement that G kind of referred to, and it's like, do you want your racism subtle and with like a pat in your head, or do you want it like up front? Either way, you're gonna get it.
Right.
So yeah, I try not to allow that specific.
Hey, Miss, I'll say this. I think both of them have showed that they don't really care about us. So I mean, I don't think it goes to like either Donald Trump or I don't think either one of them, or I think both of them have showed that they don't really care about like the issues that's going on in our community. We just saw, 4-5 minutes of video, both of them kind of giving them giving them their ass to kiss. So I mean, I don't think either one of them has showed they particularly care about the black community.
Gotcha.
I would agree with. I want to say I would agree with Johnny on that, and I also want to note that I don't see anything wrong with voting for him, because I think black people are going to pay attention to Trump more than they pay attention to whatever the Democratic Party does. People automatically assume that the Democratic Party isn't racist for whatever reason. Like, it's still black people turning a blind eye to what the Democratic Party does. So we just assuming that they're not racist and everything. And as soon as the Democratic people are in position, we fall every time. When somebody like Trump is in position, you have black people paying attention, and that's what I think is the most important thing out of that.
Yo, are y'all familiar with this book called The Devil You Know? Yo, so one, it's a book, one, but two, they did a documentary on HBO, and I forgot the name of the documentary, but in short, The Devil, and I think it's called The Devil You Know. I might have to just do a quick Google, but I think it's called The Devil You Know. Let me do a quick thing real quick.
I'm looking it up. It's a documentary, you say? It came out in 2022?
No, it's called The Devil You Know by Charles Blow. That's the book, but the documentary is called something different on HBO, but it's about the author who made the book, right? And I think he has a really good idea, but The Devil You Know, he grew up in Louisiana, then he left to go to school, big time New York Times editor, was in a big city. And what his suggestion is in the book is that as black people, the migration where everybody left the South and started spreading out to LA, Chicago, Detroit. Everybody left
San
the South.
Francisco.
We lost our power when we separated. We got spread too thin versus having, you know, more concentration of resources. And what he proposes, which I think is a grand idea, but it's probably too radical, is that all niggas go back to the South, choose the following states, just move there. And in that way, when it comes to voting, when it comes to policy, when it comes to all those things, is actually going to be influenced by the Black community. And from an electoral college perspective, those votes will be like a collective that actually matter from a Black voice versus our vote basically being whited out in these other areas where a lot of us tend to live. You know what I'm saying? That's the book is a good read, but that's like the overarching takeaway of what he's kind of recommending.
No, that makes a lot of sense, Johnny. I'm sure you're going to your Black sovereignty thing right now, right?
I was gonna mention it.
Listen, I know my niggas. Go ahead.
Oh no, you got it. I just wanted to say that's the start. That's how you get, like, that's how you get to Black sovereignty, is taking a step like that, or it's coming together and unifying in that way. That's a small step towards that for sure.
I guess
we ain't got that much unity.
Oh, go ahead, Bo.
We ain't got that much unity. I mean, come on now, look at what people do at the club, bro. Come on now. Look at what people do at the picnic.
Right now, we speaking idealistically. That's why you said it's
too okay. Because
more likely it won't happen. But the idea that's proposed, I think, in theory, the idea is fine.
Okay.
Are most Black people gonna leave their creature comforts to actually move back down south? And you know, like,
south is where it's at.
But see, that's what the book kind of talked about, was that the type of racism he experienced in New York was different than what he grew up with in Louisiana. You know what I'm saying? And he's like, Black people are actually going to probably be better with racism in these areas where Black people have been since the beginning of the United States versus these other places where when slavery ended, they didn't want niggas there neither. You know, a lot of these places even had laws saying you can't even come here. You know what I mean? Like, so the type of subtle racism that you experience in these liberal, robust cultural areas is way different than when you in the South and you got certain neighborhoods and it's a Black this, it's kind of a white that. It's pretty clear down here for the most part.
Yeah. All right. So, hey, Johnny, you go, and then I'm gonna read this question. It poses the question.
Okay. Well, yeah. Now I'm glad we like kind of wrapping it there, because I think and I'm glad you brought up this book. I'm looking it up now. I'm gonna go check it out. But I think there's a powerful like parallel that we're talking about when we just asked about, is Joe Biden racist, is Donald Trump racist, and we say maybe, and then we talk about how racism looks different in New York versus how it looks in Louisiana, and could that be the same thing where a Joe Biden racism might look like New York, or the Donald Trump racism might look like, or whatever we want to call it. But there's like it's the same thing is there, whatever you want to call it. But when you go a different place or dealing with one person, it looks this way, and then when you're dealing with another set of people in another place, it might manifest itself differently. But in essence, it's still the same thing. And I think that's what we're kind of talking about.
Yeah. I mean, like I said, when it comes to those groups, those circles, man, like I've been around them, like, you know, the limo liberals, all that other stuff. Like they, you know, shake your hand they had a hand sanitizer in their back pocket. You know what I'm saying? And if you try to, you know, have anything outside of what the group think, like, I mean, the stuff that some of these people have said, I've even had people try to pull me to the side because, like, they try to tell me about my political views or how I see things. I'm like, look here, chick, you don't, when I eat, don't make you shit, vice versa.
You know you Black, right?
Right.
How
man,
you
look.
You know you Black, right? They hit you.
We Black out here. You know what I'm saying? But all I'm saying is that you have that more subtle approach. Like let's talk about all these social issues or what have you. But like we still mess you up on the back end. I tell people all the time, like, black people have constantly shot themselves in the foot, like over and over and over and over again, because it's all about just to make you feel good or give you like that image politic, like there's black persons, there's black woman, like the Dalton chick, but that's a different part. Like that's a different story. But that image politic, put the image of politics is like where they know how they can get black people for sure.
Gotcha. I guess that'll kind of build to where we're about to head. Before we go there, real quick, I guess let's not try and spend too much time on this, just because we've kind of agreed and beat the racehorse down. But Real X, is pandering racist or more a show of lack of understanding or care to understand?
Both.
I think it's the latter.
Yeah, I think it's just a matter of being a politician, trying to get votes.
Yeah, to some degree, I think some of these people actually be pandering, like they be knowing they being racist.
But look, I'm trying to tell you, look up the Kamala Harris like thing that they had in the White House, bro. It was the most ratchet in the world, bro. I'm trying to tell you, like, it was like Magic City in the White House. They let this happen in the White House.
Hey, Kamala Kato. Kamala, she plays.
No, she not. Where has she been?
Yeah, that's all I'm about to say. How is she okay?
No, I say she like an AKA.
Yeah, I don't care about
She's
that.
not even black.
That's what they say. They say she AKA. So
Hey, do y'all think Joe Biden bringing that chicken was racist, or like that? Joe Biden coming to that dude's house and bringing chicken?
Like when Hillary came with that hot sauce. Now, mind you, you of course you had like Trump talking about like, like with the shoe and everything. Like he knew how to get to the youth. I mean, like that's not even just a black thing. That's across the board. You just have people who want those shoes, who want to collect it, or use that, like have it as a novelty or what have you. But
it was
like,
black adjacent still.
Huh?
It was still a black or black adjacent pander.
See, I feel like that was like those, I feel like those shoes would be more like a Hispanic dude, like where how like Hispanic
You might like
people
who
sometimes
wear them, but what he was trying to appeal to was black or black adjacent.
it was just a bad pander, but he was trying to get black people.
Man, if he had made it with some Air Force Ones.
Before you go, you know what would go fire with the what they call them, Trump ones?
The
gold San Francisco. You
got. The one I got. That you don't think I've been trying to get those shoes?
I'm waiting to see somebody dress it up. Let's go.
We got one.
We got one.
That's the first black folk that you heard that said they're gonna get the Trump ones. There you go. I told you they was out here. Vo is one of them. All right, so
I just like to collect shoes.
To be honest, none of the politicians care about us as people because we don't stick together, let points be known. That's why they can say things that they think will get us on the other side. And Rail said, after this election, we as people need to register as unaffiliated. I think that we all should, but at the minimum, black folk.
I agree.
Fair enough. I think what we got, 3 to 4, maybe the whole panel is independent, right? Or is there anybody that's on a specific side?
Nah, Bo said straight up conservative.
I mean,
I'm standing on business over here.
Hey, listen, ain't nothing wrong with that. And I think that kind of can build us to 2 topics, which is, are black conservatives still looked at as sellouts? And then we have the Trump blacks.
They starting to be looked at as heroes.
All right, so let's so I'm
I like that.
I think they are. Like I mean, that's not a joke, but I mean, I really think we're looking at like conservative people, like the Dr. Umars. I think if
man, you brought up that dude. Come on now.
Is Umar considered conservative?
Man, there's so many other people that you could have chosen, but you chose him.
Well, I'm coming off the cusp, but
more so.
But I think we're starting to look at Democrats as sellouts more so.
If I was to put the word Republican on it, that'll make it a lot easier. Rail said conservative doesn't mean Republican. And I agree, but 9 times out of 10, the person that says they're conservative is voting Republican.
They are used interchangeable. They do use them like to interchange. Yeah.
Republican. They're all kind of used to describe the other side or your side, whichever way you want to look at it. Yeah, I don't know, Bo. I guess you are the current black Republican that's actually solidified in the fact that you said, I'm going to vote Republican, or I have voted Republican. I think most of us here are kind of been independent, and like for me, I voted Green Party the past 2 elections, to be honest. Like I went third party, but
niggas would say you are a sellout for voting third party. That's what they would say.
And I'm cool with it. I can break down why I decided to vote third party, but at the same time, I think that
no, I respect it. I'm just saying a lot of niggas will be saying that. Yeah,
they'll also call you a sellout if you don't vote, but they'll call you a sellout.
Right.
Republican. Usually, you're a sellout if you don't think the same way that I think.
Yeah, there you
go.
go.
It's that group thinking. It's that group thinking, and like when
my bad. I was building it to send it to you, where you are the black Republican. Do you feel like you're still looked at as, or do you feel like you've been looked at and maybe still looked at as a quote unquote sellout?
I'm sure, but I really kind of don't. I don't give a shit. I mean, what people eat don't make me shit. I know how to coexist with everyone. I get along with everyone. People can have their views. You know, they can say what they want to say, think what they want to think, feel how they want to feel. Just don't touch me. And I don't think that my belief shouldn't impact the way, like, my character. I know I have a good character. I know I have a good heart. I know I look out for others. I help out so many. Whatever my.
Because of it.
You said what?
Have people question your character specifically for your political leanings?
Yeah, and especially like long-term friends that just knew me from, like, you know, being in those circles. And like I said, when I started to get back from all that, and I looked at it from a different lens, and you know, if we try to have those conversations, you know, it's like they want to bring up the conversation until we get down into the nitty-gritty of it. Then they want to back out of it because you're used to the Don Lemons of the world. You know, you're used to the you know, cry victim, I gotta blame the white man, just, you know, whomever it is. Like, I think after I went to Colorado, man, like, it really changed my perspective on things. Like, I can really do whatever it is I want to do in this world. If I believe it, I can achieve it, type thing. And yes, mind you, there are places where there's marginalized and more concentrated areas of where there's segregation or racism or what have you. And that's unfortunate. And you know, but there is when it comes to the grander scale of things, like, it's nowhere near as bad as what people think, like, as propaganda has made it to be. And yeah, I mean, I was just told that I had the right. I'm an American. I mean, I have the right to pursue anything that I want to pursue out here. I mean, but you know, if you go against the grain,
right?
You know, like what Biden said, you know, like, you know better. Like, if you started talking certain areas, man, I'm trying, like, a couple people have tried me, man, and like I said, when you stand on it, like, some people respect it, and some people just want to give you your space, and I like space. I mean, I'm not an astronaut, but you can give it to me.
Yeah. All right. I guess I'm gonna run down these comments real quick. Then I'll you know, ask the same question to the panel. So let me hit it. So we got Unc say, what do you guys think of Israel and the red heifers?
I don't know what's.
I'm up. So Unc, we know.
I don't know what that means.
Maybe you're talking about like the Republican side of the Israel.
Nah, he talking about it's a prophecy, but yeah, it ain't.
Oh, okay, all right. So Tone later on in the show, I'm gonna toss it off to you, and you can kind of break that down. I don't know.
Let's get a Google search.
Yeah, go ahead, Johnny. Rail said that's because they like us in boxes. I think that's in reference to people wanting each other to or condemning people that think differently. There we go.
Yeah.
Impel Forward podcast. They said they'll say, no matter who you vote for, just vote. They don't mean it.
Shout out to Leon.
Just like vote for, what we conditioned you to do, and anytime that you go outside of that, you're deemed as a sellout. And like one of the people who I don't know him personally, and but I have a gripe with is Roland Martin. Like that dude is like
Rolling a wild boy.
Man, like wide boy. I don't know about wild. You forgot that. But like this dude is
wide boy.
Like I guess it's because we live in a different world now, like where people can really see through your BS, and it's like we obviously see that you are, who funds you. Like, I mean, you got to follow the money. And you got someone that's always talking about all this oppression BS when you're sitting here on the damn at a country club with the same white people that you saying that you're oppressed from.
Eating good.
Make that make sense to me?
Nah,
like
I feel it. I got a quick question: whose hairline is worse, Stephen A. or Roland Martin? Who y'all?
Roly poly.
No, yeah, Roland got this. He got that dual sunroof.
He got the dual sunroof. All right.
No, he got the cul-de-sac in the back.
We're gonna call him sunroof shorty.
That was a quick question. Let me go to Unc real quick. Unc say most Democrats are conservative, but won't admit it because be honest with what does it say? Be honest with you being a conservative just means you have a deep moral compass.
Especially black Democrats.
Well, most black folks are conservatives that vote Democrat. That is most black folks are conservatives. So,
Yeah. So I guess with that, to kind of piggyback and build it to the rest of the panel, have y'all felt pressure to be Democrats?
No. Like the same way Bo answered that question the last time, where he just said, like you kind of reach a point where if you stand on something, you just don't care what everybody else got to say about it.
But that's a different kind of like connotation. That it just means you don't care. But have you ever felt like? So I'll put it like this. So I know that typically, if you have any elders in your family, like the idea, the thought is that you should be Democrat, and Democrat is a good thing. And if you're doing anything outside of that or even questioning it, you're kind of looked at as like one of those, off-putting kids, if that makes sense. Where, like, to me, I would say, like, I think that in general, within like the community and the people that I grew up around, or like from family XYZ, I think honestly is probably like the only Republican inside my family. So everybody is blue, has voted blue, and like the general push is blue is right, blue is good. The other side is the villains. So like, for me, and again, I'm fairly free thinking, where like I'm gonna just like debate and converse about anything. It's not always been met with like open arms, if that makes sense.
Right.
Oh yeah, no, I totally agree. I'll say this: it's not only the elders, because you feel it from the elders, and you get in those conversations. But I found is like a lot of the Gen Z in the family.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
Super. And I done found myself fighting two sides of the table over turkey. Like, hey, hold up, wait, I just had an idea. It's just
college, boy. They ain't trying to hear nothing.
They ain't trying to hear none of that. It's like they almost worse than the elders because they so like young and energetic with it.
Yeah.
The elders are just like, all right, whatever, young blood. But look, my little niece, they'll just don't stop.
Yeah. I wanted to circle back to Tone. I know I interjected. You ain't finished out your point.
Oh, I was just sitting there listening. I forgot where I was even at.
Oh, okay. G, where you at, bro?
Damn, I was just listening too. What was the question?
Have you felt pressure to be a Democrat from like family, peers, social groups, XYZ?
I think amongst the black millennial crowd, there's a certain passive shade that's thrown when conversations are had when you don't think the same way as the group, right? Like, you know, some kind of conversation and immediately oh really, right? Like, or, you know, just very like subtle sort of even, you know, just subtle little signs where it's kind of like, all right, and then after that the energy might shift. Oh, I didn't think that you would think that way, right? Like, or you know, they might make a comment like that as if like I'm supposed to be as what they thought I should be. You know what I'm saying? but like, yeah, I think so. Pressure, I think there's a pressure there. You know, like some of us might deal with the peer pressure better than others, but there's definitely a pressure to conform to the norm as a young Black person. Most of us are heavily leaning to the Democratic Party, and largely, in my opinion, in a blind way, like in an abusive way, I would argue. But yeah,
you said one of the words I hate, and that's conform. I would have to say, like for me personally, yes, especially like, you know, my first time voting was the year that Obama came in. I remember 18. I had just turned I just turned 18, and I even went up to the lady at Central, and she was like, "Well, what's your affiliation?" And I was just like, shit, I don't know, independent. I don't really like. I knew that back at the age of 18, and, you know. But the way that they can get you is saying, well, if you don't claim a party, then you can't vote in the primaries. An 18-year-old don't know what the hell the primary is. They're not paying attention to that. So I'm like, all right, cool, whatever. I guess Democrat. One of the worst mistakes of my life, because I tried to get that shit changed 3 times. They've seen all 3 of my applications inside the system, but it said I never claimed a party. And I said, then how the hell was I able to submit the application? Because don't they say, like, don't they say, like, in anything, like, to fill out the required fields, like, they'll put like a little asterisk by, and then it'll be like the red space, like you didn't fill it in, like you missed some information. Like, I'm just saying, like, if you're doing anything online. I said that to say that I was able to submit my application to change my party, and they kept on saying that all 3 of them that they did not see my party change. I found that out yesterday. That's what I was going to say. Like,
I can second what you're saying. I tried to change my party online. This was over COVID, and it never went through. And then I went and had to get that official. You know how we updated the licenses in North Carolina to where you had to get the official joint? Right. And then when I went to the DMV and it was time to re-register, that's when I did it like right then and there. And I'm hoping if that ain't do it, then I don't know what's gonna do it. But I can second what you're saying. It that online joint, they're not really processing that.
Well, that was the thing. I did it at the DMV the day that I got my the real ID, and I told them, I was like, I wanted to change my party affiliation, and the lady was like, okay, and then she did a little computer stuff, and she said, all right, I've changed it now, and that was back in about late 2019, I want to say. And like that's what I was saying. Like, they've seen they saw all 3 of my attempts, and they never acknowledged it. I had to have a provision ballot. Like, they had to watch me actually vote. Like the ladies that was in there, they had to actually watch me do my votes. I had to hand them over my actual ballot. I didn't have to scan it through the machine. And I was thinking to myself, I was like, man,
that shit away, big dog.
I know, that's what I was thinking.
That's one of the ones Trump was looking for. He was like, I know it's 11,000 out there. I gotta get one of those.
Huh?
I said that's a Vermont ballot. That's what Trump was talking about yesterday.
Yeah, like no, on some real shit. Like that's what happened. Like, and that's the thing. Like, this is the second time I'm going voting, and like I've rejected the ballot. And when I've done that, like the unfortunately that's not the best training in the world for that, because when you do that, it's like so many loopholes for them to bring that back, or to take your ballot back. And I was in there for almost 45 minutes, like just to get like I was just like no, I was like no, I don't want this. And then I saw the other ballot, and I was like, the options that you have on both Democrat, Independent, and Republican, it just blew my mind. That's all I'm saying. Like,
yeah,
fuck that kind of stuff.
No, I dig it, and I guess it's unfortunate in itself. So I guess kind of moving the conversation along. I'm gonna start with this meme, and it's gonna move us into a Trump conversation. Let me find him. We'll start here. Hey, Tone, check your phone.
I don't like this dude already.
The breadwinners, you heard?
As black people, you know, with Trump.
Yeah, I'm with Trump. I don't know what everybody got against him. Yo, he was making the breadwinners, you heard? I'm a Democrat too, but we Trump. We need Trump back in office right now.
I'm gonna be honest with you. I with Trump, to be honest with you, bro, for real, Trump really did this shit. And I like him because he's about money. It wasn't about no politics. He wanted to make America great again. Through Trump.
That boy Trump, we making sure to get their bread. I ain't gonna lie. I'm thinking Trump for life. Trump for life. I ain't gonna lie.
Blood on the Trump. Trump wanted us to get off our ass and get some money. Trump 2024.
It's the truth. I mean, everybody hold a piece of money.
Trump really up ballers. So Trump running it how it's supposed to be ran.
Well, that's a little murder.
And he putting out facts in front of the people. He ain't lying to the people. People just don't want to accept the truth.
Trump, man, we rocking with you. Love you, Trump. My dog. See what's up.
Trump put the money in our pocket.
Trump had the country on a better path as far as economically.
He put America first, so it makes sense. I like someone who's like to place people first.
Trump 2024, my brother.
They know they can't get him for none of the real shit. We get it, man.
Yeah. I ain't used to like that, but now, bro, I realize that he meant well for the country and shit, bro. We need that back. Free Trump. Trump 2024.
They tricked y'all dumbass to get Trump out the chair, and now look how that shit I'm backfired on y'all dumbass. Trump got my back. Trump for life.
Down Trump.
I don't know about for life.
He showed his love. Can't even get it stopped. 2024 Trump. Trump 2024. We from Baltimore. I ain't gonna lie. Trump, my mother. So,
as much as they talk shit about Trump, he's probably the best thing for America right now, no cap. Really.
Trump. My man Trump, he's gangster. I like him. I love him. Make America great again. Let's go.
Trump 2024, Trump 2028, Trump 2032. Man, listen.
Trump like for full fascist
It don't go that. It don't go like that quite. But
I will.
My thing is, okay.
Before we go, let me play this last one. This is one of Tone Jones. This is we all just played.
Willing tonight to condemn white supremacists and militia groups.
Sure. We've got David Duke just joined, a bigot, a racist, a problem.
I'm not looking to repudiate David Duke?
Sure.
David Duke and robocalls are out again, the white supremacist movement supporting you. Do you have any words for that?
Well, I disavow. David Duke endorsed me? Okay. All right. I disavow. Okay.
When we looked at it and looked at the question, I disavowed David Duke. So I disavowed David Duke all weekend long on Facebook, on Twitter. Obviously, it's
frustrating.
Trump's refusal to condemn, distance himself from white supremacists.
The Anti-Defamation League is already out there asking the president to clarify why he didn't condemn white supremacists.
So are you prepared right now to make a clear and unequivocal statement renouncing the support of all white supremacists?
Of course I am. Of course I am.
When Chris joined, we had a news conference, and they asked me the exact same question. I said, I disavow. I disavowed then. I disavowed today on ABC with George Stephanopoulos. I disavowed again.
David Duke is a bad person who I disavowed on numerous occasions over the years.
I'm willing to do anything. I want to see peace.
Then do it, sir.
Say it. Do it. Say it. I totally disavow.
Look at the teapot on the kettle. He should have said, "Now, well, how about your Klan friends?"
Oh man.
See, that wasn't ready for that kind of. He wouldn't have been ready for that. He would have done like the typical, got red and then like walked away. But
so yeah, I guess I'd love to get y'all first reactions. And we'll kind of move into Trump's push for black folk. But Johnny, you got your hand up.
Yeah, no, it was something I thought of after the first video. Is Trump has amazing ability to, like, all his supporters are like the same type of person, no matter what race. Whether it's white,
that's what I was
whether it's black, whether it's Hispanic, whether it's Asian, all the people that like Trump feel like the same people. I think they could all get along because it feels like just a lower. I don't want to say like stupid or
it's
stuff.
the people though.
But I feel like it's a lower hanging fruit. I think those people don't care.
Question that I had, and I guess you're kind of leading and begging a question for it. Question that I had was, do you think people like Trump because he's pretty much politics on easy mode?
Yeah, I
think people like. I think people like Trump because he's different than the average politician. He's just something different. I think that's the main point. Like he's not the regular politician that we've seen all this time. And then on top of that, like his track record of doing what he says he's going to do is pretty decent.
Yeah. Like for me, I'm thinking like, I mean, did it have to just go like get like the most?
I ain't want to say that. I ain't want to say
no,
that.
you know, like I'm just like, I mean, like you get what I'm saying though, right? Like,
I guess it goes to what Johnny was saying. Typically, the visual of the Trump supporter, whether at the Trump rally or they look like Miami Beach or something like that,
right?
It's the low hanging
Wixen and everything, yeah.
A beach group. So like it was the ratchets, and then you see the white trash, and they're usually like MAGA go Trump. That's what you was about to say, right? Okay.
Pretty much, and I'm like, there's so many people in between. Like, I mean, can we at least work on enunciation? You know what I'm saying? Like, can we? I mean, there's people with an extended vocabulary. There's people out here that like, they wear suits and ties all the way down, like from a janitor all the way up to the CEO. I mean, like I just, even though I saw what they was trying to do, it was the way that they was trying to do it. It made it almost seem like it was like a sense of pandering as well in my eyes. Like, cause I know exactly that TikTok channel. And I mean, like the dude that runs it, like he puts a lot of people in their place, like, and you see, like it's a typical reaction, like, well, tell me what's an actual policy, and it just be like, and then like, I'm just done with this, and then like they'll see the camera, and they're like, I'm done with this. But my thing is like, dude, come on, man, like, you got people like myself, you know what I'm saying? I know how to complete a full sentence.
Yeah. So would you mind if I ask you? Well, no, I'll build it up to that because I think you kind of hit on a good point. To which is the fascination with like American politics and celebrity culture, in which the line has blended so many times. Whether you want to go with the Bill Clinton and him going on, what was it, Arsenio with the shades and the saxophone, and that being like the appeal to black folk, or most people voted for Trump, not Trump, for Barack because he was black. Simply put, you know what I mean?
Simply,
and like
he sold us up shit street.
But even listening to that, to me, I'll ask the question: do you think that people are actually voting for Trump because of policy, or because he's cool, or because or he's like the cool counterculture at the moment?
Definitely because it's like more the cool thing right now. Because if you're thinking to yourself like, people are thinking to themselves like, oh, the lesser two evils type thing, like that. It's like 2016 all over again. But it's because it is the hot topic. I mean, people of color are finally like, black people are finally looking at like, yo, what the hell? I mean, because like you got all these immigrants coming, like literally just coming in waves taking away the resources from the actual American people. And people like some people are paying attention to like I mean it's sometimes it's that obvious. A lot of people are not going to look up the policies, and like they don't know the 4 countries that Biden said that that these 4 countries who are seeking asylum can come to America. They're just thinking it's like, oh, just a bunch of people, but he opened up the border for any and everyone. And a lot of people are starting to see that, and they're like, "Hey, yo, like, what about this? What about the American people?" I think that people are starting to get to the point of where it's back to America first. I understand,
Well, that is
like,
the Trump agenda. So I guess both. Tell me, what are Trump policies that have pretty much swayed your vote to where you're going to vote for?
School choice. I'm looking more for the kids. So
Okay.
school choice, where they're able to bus like these kids to where like a child let's just say they from the West, right, and they might want to go to school in the South, like, but it's not the same district, but you're still able to give that child access to a better education if that's what he or her would like to pursue. Another one was the Platinum Plan, in regards to funding a lot of Black-owned businesses, and also another
this year.
Huh?
Is that still part of his platform this year?
That's still, yeah, like it's on his website.
Okay.
And what else? Definitely tightening up the immigrant, like the illegal immigration, because at the end of the day, it's illegal immigrants. Like, we can't just pull up on Denmark like that.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like,
That's
we can't
fair.
we can't even pull up to Canada like that.
And
You
then
know,
on top of that, the money that's going out to fund them being in the country at different places, like, it's a slap in the face to Black people, for real, for real. Like,
it's a slap in the face to America, period.
Yeah, it really is. But
Because it's a slap in the face to America, and that's the thing about it. Like, I really hate the whole like separation amongst everyone.
Yeah, I feel
I
you
do
on that.
understand like I do understand like the degrees of it. However, like, it's the people, like we the people. That's what it says on the Constitution. We are the people who pay the taxes for these motherfuckers to have a prepaid card, to have a nice ass apartment and a nice ass car, and and they get the what's the thing called, the wishful dreamers or something, like, the dreamers program, where they get they got damn near free tuition to any to college, like in the hundreds of thousands. And this is what the American people. These are people who have, and then on top of that, you're going to force everyone. Not too long ago, you're trying to force everyone to take this particular thing, but you're letting all these people in who are unvaccinated. And you just and
I guess
that's a great point. That's a great point.
Good point.
They ain't even checking criminal records.
We're gonna swing the mic in a second, Bo. I know you. It sounds like you got a lot of smoke for Bo. Not
I do. I have a lot of smoke for people that just don't
really read these
like.
comments real quick. We'll try and pick back up a little bit and end off and round off the conversation on Trump, and then I'll ask the question: Has Biden done enough? What we got? We got Rail said them stimmies had folk turned.
Facts.
I think I feel like everybody on that TikTok, they caught that stimmy. Might have got that unemployment stimulus too. That was crazy.
That was the one.
No, that's the one that had them turned right there.
Making off the unemployment jump, I was like, I feel like quitting my job right now, but I knew it wasn't gonna last. But it was ridiculous. Impel Ford podcast said he wasn't a politician to begin with. He just ran for president and won.
Yeah.
Hill 919. These your folk.
Yeah, man, this my bro, man. This nigga Uncle Ruckus though, so he definitely it's my boy. It's my boy Hill, man. It's my brother right here, but that nigga Uncle Ruckus, real talk, man.
Well, shouts out to the 919. You know, Bull City,
Oh
we
yeah,
in the
shout
building,
out.
bro. Like Bull
That's my
City in the
bro,
building.
man. That's family right there. You know.
They call that man Uncle Ruckus on the airways like that. Dang, that's crazy, bro. Hey,
Nah,
I feel like
he
you gotta pull up.
Uncle Ruckus, man. That's my brother though. But he know who he is. Hey, but see, that's what we need to be as a community. You feel what I'm saying?
Yeah,
like
that's honest.
that's my brother right there. Like I give him my last dollar, but damn that nigga Uncle Ruckus. Like no question.
He said, fellas. He said Dante.
That's the other brother we grew up with. He said apparently he got him voting for Trump too. So it's a wave.
Oh no, that red wave is gonna come again, and they thought it was bad last year.
Said, check out the California bill for undocumented immigrants.
Late October.
On the homes, yeah. Yes.
Yeah.
They're sitting there giving the whole thing about this is the plan. Because they're essentially just trying to get.
Wait for Biden.
I'm sorry.
I got two things I want to
I'm
add
about to snap.
before we move on. The thing you're saying about the border, that's a very potent issue or pertinent. Yeah, it's a very pertinent issue for Black people. I don't think a lot of us even understand how much that the immigration is affecting us. Not just with the
Chicago.
Chicago at LA, they're running Crips out of traditionally Crip neighborhoods.
Move back south.
They're you know, like they're taking
the worst thing. What you just said.
You say what?
They're moving Crips out of traditionally Crip neighborhood. That might not be the worst thing.
It's not, but that's Black people's house. You don't understand. In LA, these people be owning homes and stuff.
Move back south.
They moving out of their neighborhoods because
what number was it that what did Lil Durk say you can't go to 53rd or something like that?
63rd.
Gentrify 63rd. Hey, listen.
But that's not gentrifying. If you bring a different gang in there and they terrorizing Black people,
the MS
right?
Like that's not. I'd rather have if I'm gonna get terrorized, I'd rather get terrorized by a Crip than MS-13.
All right, so
the Venezuelans, bro, they are cut.
They don't play. Coming over, cut through.
Man, look, and that's the thing I'm trying to tell you. Like, I really like. That's what I really think. Like, it's what it is. Like, because if you're giving all these illegals, I mean, I'm not saying if you're a legal immigrant, you've gone through your case, you've done your due process, you've earned that. That's awesome. It's when you're undocumented, don't know you from a hill of beans, and you're coming here taking up all the resources. I mean, New York is about to struggle. The 18-wheelers are saying that they're done with New York. So this is a crisis that these liberal cities that they wanted this. So like, here you go, you're welcome. Now the day that Durham becomes a sanctioned city, I ain't gonna cap. I'm done. But like the thing is that you're giving these illegals. If you give the illegals, if they're here for 6 months, then they can be deemed as a legal immigrant. And where we at now? Well, we in March. So what, by September? And then what's 2 months after that? November, right? We've given all y'all everything that y'all. We literally gave y'all the red carpet into America. People who have lived here for their whole lives. I wish I could get a goddamn prepaid car. Like, hello, like just give me 500. I don't ask for much. These people getting 15,000.
What I think one thing too is interesting to point out is as a country, there's a documented history of the institution of America gifting immigrants certain rights and benefits that when America was expanding things of that nature, the land grants that were gifted to certain populations, opportunities that just couldn't go to folks like Black folks who've been here for a while. The Senate didn't get their 40 acres and a mule, never got their reparations, but looking over to give these benefits to other people. And I think it's just another example of, why this whole system is so jacked, because it's just not designed to help people like us. It was never built to empower us, to put us in position to thrive. It's always been built to tear us down and keep us at a working class for everybody else. That's what his whole thing has been about. And so, but I just want to highlight, like, this is, to me, is just almost a new age example of when everybody, that huge wave of immigrants came over and everybody moved to the Midwest, you know what I'm saying? And got all that land and was able to settle, you know, them Westerns, them joints, like, it was really like that out there. It was like, shoot them up. This is ours now. We taking this. Like, it was crazy out there.
Land.
Yeah.
That was supposed to be our land.
Oh, okay. So I guess this is circle the wagon before we move on. So
yeah.
Tone, G, Newton, is there anything that Trump could policy-wise say that could possibly swing you? Or is there any policies that Trump has that has you interested?
Honestly, at this point, the main thing I'm interested in is immigration. I'm not gonna lie. That's the main thing I'm saying. Like, that's I think that might be the most dangerous thing against Black people right now, as far as, like, and I'm not even trying to separate people. Yeah, it's the most dangerous thing against America, but for us, I think it's even a bigger threat.
Okay.
And so, like, just the immigration policy alone right now at this point, that right there got, like, yeah.
And I just sent you a DM through Instagram.
Okay.
So just to give a synopsis of what the hell is really going on. Like, it's in bold print, you know, to kind of give people an understanding of what's going on. You know, oh, go ahead.
Oh no, I was gonna say just I don't think there's nothing Trump could do to make me, like,
vote for him.
As far as, like, because like where I'm at now, it's like,
so you're not gonna vote for Trump no matter what.
I ain't gonna say no matter what, but I'm sitting. I'm right now. I feel like I'm gonna sit out until I feel like for me, it wouldn't necessarily be a policy for something from Trump. I just need to see, like, a better just leadership from him, as far as, like, just
So
trying
Johnny,
to bring it.
I know you too well. If Trump is still regular Trump,
I mean,
and then he pull out that reparation bill.
Of course, bro. Like, I'm going every time. But I didn't want to say that. I didn't want to go there. I'll try to be realistic. But of course, yes, he bring that out. I'm going. I'm going. I'm be there.
40 acres and a mule, just like I don't know, like he gonna take off like 5% on taxes or something for you.
Yeah, I mean, like, shave off a little bit, you know.
Nah, give me
give
me 15 and you got a deal, Trump. And I'm
you know it's never gonna pass, but, like, as long as he say that, he can win yours.
Yeah, fuck it. I mean,
Realistically, I don't think that's gonna be a thing.
I mean, but to me, it's like at least you're trying. At least you're trying.
At least you're pandering. That's straight pandering. I'd rather somebody tell me the truth. Like, look, our debt ceiling's too high to promise you that I'm gonna do this right now. We have to get America straight again.
Talk to me about reparations before you start. Before you give me a shoe, bro. Like, honestly, I'd rather have that kind of pandering.
I think I feel you on that. But,
wait for the Democrats. All right, so I guess I'm gonna try and move the conversation forward. And we've talked about, we've critiqued Biden fairly enough, and specifically his immigration policy. So I'll pose the question, then I'll play a couple reels, and we'll kind of get into the conversation. Question is, has Biden done enough to keep the Black vote? Let me go here.
Unequivocally, no.
We'll start here.
It was impossible. Biden was able to pass a bipartisan infrastructure bill. So after decades of hearing about our crumbling infrastructure, the Biden administration actually passed a $1.2 trillion infrastructure package that authorized the federal government to spend money on roads and bridges and highways and airports and train stations, as well as bringing universal broadband to every American citizen and removing all the lead pipes that were slowly poisoning us. He signed the pact. Attacked a stellar Black woman on the Supreme Court and just announced a plan to end
image politics.
by 2030. Sure, gas prices went up, but they also went down for 14 weeks straight. America has nearly 10 million new jobs, and the deficit is on by $1.5 trillion this year, the biggest single drop in U.S. history. To contrast that with the last administration, the deficit went up every single year Trump was in office. You hear how the Democrats wanted to fund the police, but it was the Biden Democrats who voted to increase funding for law enforcement when every single Republican voted against it. We hear about how the borders are open, but the Border Patrol and DHS under Biden has seized tens of thousands of pounds of drugs this month alone, and apprehensions are up across the board. In fact, the 2023 border policy is almost 600 pages long and includes $17.5 billion from America, with Biden getting Mexico to agree to throw in $1.5 billion to even it out.
I'll give y'all one more.
I don't like her man bun.
Good faith. Name one, huh? Now, I know you aren't asking this in good faith, because if you don't know one good thing that Biden has done, you are completely blind to what's going on in the world. But I'm feeling generous, so I'll give you multiple things that he's done. The Inflation Reduction Act, part of which included the largest investment in fighting climate change in history. Through that same act, helping reduce the cost of things like insulin, helping millions of Americans. The CHIPS and Science Act, which created thousands of jobs and invested in multiple communities in the United States. The PACT Act, which helped veterans who are suffering from burn pits. The Safer Communities Act, which provided $10 billion towards mental health care. While taking longer than we would have liked, Biden is finally helping millions of people who are suffering from the weight of student debt. Signed the Postal Service Reform Act, which helped modernize the Postal Service, which had been losing money for decades, helping save the job of thousands of people that work there. Nominating our first African-American female Supreme Court justice, just to name a few. Now, do I love everything he's done? Or do I like the fact that he hasn't spoken up and talked about things that I think he should have? No, I think Biden has messed up. I think he made promises when he was running that he didn't keep. To say he's done nothing is just pure ignorance.
Hey, come on, I mean.
Okay. So I guess I'll lead into it. As they kind of stated, I don't know. What is it? He's had lower unemployment. He has better job growth than I don't know. I guess they say
That infrastructure thing, I believe, is cap, bro.
Yeah.
Well, the infrastructure. What's the act that happened? And they passed the bill, and it's what is it, like the internet? It's removing lead pipes. It's like redoing the bridges and roads. And
I mean, have they started doing that? Is it working?
Patrick's time. Yes, you can call in. The links inside the YouTube's. The link is inside the YouTube. Go to To Be Fair Show and just type in the title. But lower employment rate. What? Yeah, Infrastructure Act and Inflation Act. I don't know. Go ahead, Johnny. You got smoke. Go ahead.
Well, no, I was just gonna say. I think it's like I say. Some of the stuff you say, like I hit one of the biggest potholes the other day going into Chick-fil-A. Like
to fix the air road.
I mean, my car about cut off, and like so, the roads ain't better. Like you can say he did that. He has not fixed the roads. Like they're terrible. But like if we contrast it to like what them people was talking about, what Donald Trump did, they had actual cold hard cash in their hands, and it's hard to argue with like when they're talking about what has Biden done and this stuff that's they did this and this is going to be better. It's nothing like physically that we can see that's actually like happened. You go to the grocery store, eggs still expensive as hell, milk still expensive as hell.
I guess to play proper devil's advocate, the cold hard cash that you had in your hand led to what? The reason why them eggs is that high, right?
Yes, absolutely.
So was that actually a good thing?
But that was Biden. That was Biden. That wasn't Trump.
But that was Trump with the stimmies.
He started.
But Biden
continued.
Trump did stimmies. Biden did more than a stimmy. This nigga opened up the bank. This nigga gave out checks for having kids, checks for being unemployed. I mean, it was a reason why everything was like the reason why inflation.
So I guess, I could be completely wrong. I might be, but I thought I was under the assumption. I thought not Biden, but Trump started all. He's like the unemployment thing with the extra the extra child thing, tax credit, plus the stimmies all came under him. And I think like Biden had one run of all of that.
I would disagree. With when Biden was in office and the responses, so all the money that was printed while Biden was in office because of these this package that you're talking about, the inflation, the infrastructure package, the unemployment, that money came from somewhere, right? And the reason why we hit that all-time high or that record high inflation, which now has caused interest rates to creep up into recent highs. So, you know, at one point we were getting houses like the rates were zero, like houses was going crazy, like the markets was going.
The house that I live in, boy. I listen.
You bought at a great time.
2020 was a motherfucking year. I ain't gonna lie to you.
Yes, it was. Yes, it was. And a lot of that was in response to COVID to try and stimulate the economy. But what ended up happening was there was so much stimulus, not just from Trump, but also carried over into Biden with these policies. So now inflation is what it is, rates are what they are, and the Federal Reserve is doing what they do to try and reduce that inflation, because that's another big point outside of immigration, I think, for voters, is inflation.
Nah, for sure. And I guess to kind of, I guess, keep talking to the point that you was at. So I know for me, I bought in September 2020, but I was up off of like 2 Trump stimmy checks. This is before the election. And the interest rates had already dropped. And that's why I'm saying, like, I remember like that phase of it where I know I got like 2 to 3 Trump stimmies where he was printing the digital gold too.
Remember, 2020 was his last year in office, so he couldn't have been there but for so long. Because
no, for sure, but he did a lot inside that, and that's what like the quote unquote quantitative easy. That's when everybody was crypto bros and everything was wide open. I guess it's hard to blame, even if we want to blame either one. I wouldn't put the blame on just specifically one, because they both up like it. Whether you want to say Trump put the wheel in motion and Biden kept riding it. But I think they both had a hand in printing a whole bunch of free money. But I ain't mean to keep cutting you off.
I was gonna say I think perception is everything when we talk about this, and how you market it. I think the people who got the stimmy checks, they think whether it was Biden, whether it was Trump, whether the stimulus checks affected the inflation. Now, if the people look at the stimulus checks and think Trump, and look at the inflation and think Biden. That's the reality of it. Now, if you're Biden, that's an uphill battle for you to fight to try to switch people's perception and understand what really happened. And if you're Trump, it actually makes things easier for you to come back in 4 years later and be like, even though you probably know you ruined the country, but you look and be like, God, dog, look at how bad everything is. Let me come in and save it again. It makes your life easier. So, like, that's the reality that we're facing. So,
and Biden paused student loans.
But with politics is a game, you got to understand that if you both sides.
Yeah, go ahead. G.
So I said Biden paused student loans too.
I ain't mad at that.
But you got to look at how the impact. Like
that's a fact though.
It's not a positive impact.
I agree. And I guess again, like I'm only here to play devil's advocate because I know that most of the panel leaned Trump or conservative and was anti-Biden. What do y'all say to the concept that most of Trump's highs came off of the back of like riding the last 3 years of Obama's really strong economy?
Yeah, I mean, but that's usually how it works in politics, especially American politics, to where the presidents can change every 4 to 8 years. Usually the politics or the policies that one administration does, the effects usually aren't felt into the next administration. From even when like Obama first got in office, you got to think about them first 8 years. People was mad at him because of the economy being bad from Bush, and everything. So that's how it's always going to be. You have to, if you're the president, if you're the leader of the country, even if you inherited these problems, you have to find a way to make the people believe in what you got going on. and try some kind of way to fix it. And you have to do it quickly because you only get 4 years before you have another election that you're gonna have to try to do. So I'm not saying it's easy, but that's what Biden is working against. And when we say he hasn't done enough, I think that's kind of the thing. He hasn't helped shift that perception in our heads.
I mean, when Trump came in, like was it January 21st, right?
Yep.
And what my man's do signed like what 21 executive acts. That just, I mean, talking about that. I mean, at that given time, it was
Good point, Tom. But
Huh?
keep it going. Now I was talking to the person that commented. Keep going.
Like that was damn near unheard of the way that he did it. You know, like we never seen that before like that. You know, it's like it seems like everyone else would kind of it's like if people were signing all these executive acts or these orders or what have you, it was like behind the scenes and you had to do like a deeper dive and all this other stuff. My man's literally came here like first day in, just sign off like, yep, this is it. We delegated this, blah 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 blah. You know, like it's gonna be huge. You know, at that given time, it was unheard of, and people didn't like that because it was so used to the passive
status quo.
To the status quo, the more passive way, like how Obama did it or how Bush did it, and even before then, like when Reagan and all them, like they didn't have the technology of what we have now. Like we live in a very polarizing time, and even when Biden came in, like we didn't see none of that. My man literally came in here like. I mean, what did JC say? Can't they crush the building? That's really that's what, like and
So
I think that
going to your point, Bo, real quick. I'll ask the question again. I'm just here to pretty much play devil's advocate. So what we have is fair of a conversation. I guess so. From what I was reading, Trump came in with majorities in pretty much that like House and Senate, and didn't pass more. I guess Biden passed more bipartisan bills, but Trump had everything working in his favor to where he didn't pass and get accomplished as much of like his quote unquote agenda that he said that he would. I guess what do you say to that? The fact that he had everything working in his favor. Of course, he had like the executive actions that he ran, but he didn't get built. He didn't get I guess like a couple different little of his little token things that he was saying inside his that he was running on. He didn't get it done.
that wall.
I'll just
like the wall.
He technically only had 3 years though. I mean, if we look at it, like because that last year nobody was doing nothing. That COVID kind of stole that last year from him. So you got to give him a little bit of a break because of the COVID thing, because that derailed a lot of stuff for a lot of people. So like a lot of stuff didn't get done, like the NBA stopped playing.
I ain't a Biden guy. I'm just trying to make sure we have it fair enough.
And I'm not a Trump guy. I'm just being fair.
All right, so we have two things real quick. It says nearly 95% of all new jobs during Obama's era were part-time or contract. And it looks like this is Economy, published December 21st, 2016.
Next one.
Patrick also says all the worst laws have been bipartisan. Probably. They also throw a lot of shit inside those bipartisan laws. I mean, truthfully, what was it? Not the Infrastructure Act. It's one of them Biden laws that he snuck in a lot of like.
I was about to say that infrastructure bill got a lot of stuff in it too.
It was that rescue plan. It was like right when he got elected, early 2021, which is why I'm saying like he started this legislation stuff 2021. So that's 2021, 2022, 2023. Like Trump's COVID era wasn't that long, in my opinion. It was like right at the onset, the market crashed, but then it took off like a rocket, and then hyperinflation went rampant after the elections and stuff. So, I mean,
and it goes to Impel 4 podcast. He said Trump equal inflation, Biden equal hyperinflation. All wars are bipartisan, and is the Patriot Act patriotic?
I like that one.
Johnny, what you got, bro?
Oh no, I just like that last one. It's the patriotic, because yeah, it's kind of not. It's kind of not, but no, that's I just I don't really have nothing else. I just wanted to say that.
Gotcha. I guess if nobody else has anything on the Biden, if y'all, I don't know, did y'all want to kick us back in some more or what? I was trying to be fair. Biden was here. What's next?
Yeah, right. No, I was just going to say, as far as the Biden thing, and like the being fair or what have you, it's something out there like in regards to like there's a reason why they're really trying to stop this guy. It's kind of crazy. Like there's a lot of talking about Trump, like the things that the administration is currently doing, that they really have been trying to stop whatever's going on. And I think a lot of it is because like he's still talking about cleaning the swamp. That's still like a that's still like one of his things like on his website. And huh?
So that was like the whole Vivek, deep state, bureaucracy, like that whole thing.
Yeah. So and was it like defunding? Like he wanted to pull out some of the funds for like the CIA and FBI. I was like, what the fuck? Like that's kind of
he wanted to disbar them in general. Like they kind of all the 3-letter organizations within the government that like CIA, FBI, the DEA, like all of those, and pretty much make like conglomerate specific things and organizations that have time limits instead of it being ongoing thing for forever.
Right. And so like you had the whole thing when they did something pretty much unconstitutional, like unprecedented in Colorado, like to get that man off the ballot. Like I've never seen, huh? No, they overturned it, but the fact that even happened in the first place, and then on top of that, he had to do the cognitive test. But
they made him, but they ain't make Biden.
Yeah, but they ain't make the obvious one. Like that.
I guess before we move there, because you hit on a spot that we hadn't touched yet, which was the quote unquote insurrection. What is in general the panels feel for January 6th and what happened?
Me personally, I don't agree with it.
Okay.
Me personally, I don't agree with it. Maybe there could have been like a different approach with it. However, like no one's talking about like the huge like Palestine, Israel thing protest that happened in January, this past January, at the Capitol, and they pretty much stormed the Capitol as well. But they don't want to talk about that. And then they also don't want to talk about homeboy that pulled the
pretty
fire
much
alarm.
stormed the Capitol versus busting windows and climbing walls and busting it down and actually invading and like it's not even comparable.
Yeah, like how far did they get into the Capitol?
these niggas was inside these niggas' offices, like with their feet up on the desk. Like this is crazy.
Yeah, no, that was crazy, man. Like, man, what a time to be alive, man.
Man, that January 16th, though, like I remember what was going on. Like I remember when it actually happened and watching the footage that was going on, because I was on my conspiracy stuff then. But they were showing footage of the personnel that worked there letting them in. I think it was just like an orchestrated thing. Like they keep trying to make us think like it's the worst thing because it's just another reason to give excuse to take certain actions.
I mean, here's my thing. Nobody would be allowed to take like a Nazi flag and march into the German capital with it. Why is it okay for white people to take a Confederate flag and kick in the window and walk into the U.S. Capitol and it not get treated like?
I'm not saying it's okay.
But I'm saying if they had Hajib on their head, they would be bombing Iran right now if that happened, and they was Muslim. But since it's white people, they just slap on the wrist, 6 months, you get probation. It's like
someone got 40 years.
How do we one person? It was 1,500 of them. They all should get 40 years.
Keep going, but you want to know one of the funnier things that I heard. Trump called them the January 6 hostages.
Hostages.
But I also wanted to act like, I mean, yeah. So like,
stay there. Let me read these comments real quick before. Patrick's Time said, "Buddy in a gray hoodie is smart. You got a bright future, man." I think that's you, G. This one of your homies or not?
Talking about G.
Nah, I don't think I know Patrick's Time, but I appreciate that, bro.
You got a bright future, my guy.
All right, he's gonna be the next mayor after Leo.
Shout out to Leo.
Yeah. So do you believe that elections are stupid? I don't think so. I mean, well, if we get into like a different version of a conspiracy conversation, maybe, but
what about rigged?
Rigged, yes.
Again, let's stay inside the way that they should work, and that's kind of the assumption for this conversation.
Hey, vote is rigged. They threw his vote away.
Like,
hey, look, I'm a living example of it, bro.
Hey,
bro, I sent the video about it in the group chat.
Listen, all I'm saying is that's a different Unpacked episode.
Okay, because I'm a living proof.
Go to the YouTube. Go to To Be Fair Show. Hit the live button, and you'll see in the information comments. I want to say, Patrick, the call-in button or the call-in link, and you can call in through there. It's through StreamYard. But let me see. Where else was we at? So I think as of right now, I'd say no. I think that my goal, and I think all of our goal is to be as informed as we can, make as proper of a selection come election day 2020.
Piss Miss Sharon off.
Oh, nah, she's gonna ask y'all if y'all voted yesterday in a second. Insurrections don't happen without guns.
Yeah, I could agree with that.
What if you have busted windows and somebody gets shot and killed? Does that count though? I don't know. Trump wants to be a dictator, not president. That's the fascist claim.
People don't get shot without guns either.
Confederate flags are part of our history. I hope Patrick's Time actually calls in.
Now I do. now I do.
Make sure you call in, bro. Where were we at? I think that y'all was having at it with January 6th. G, I think your camera died as you was making a January 6th indictment.
No, I mean, look, it's like I said, where I said I think, in terms of the question of one party being racist versus the other, like, was it an insurrection? Okay, if it wasn't, then it was adjacent to one. It's like the closest thing to it without calling it one. Like, all the signs are there of somebody just, really just not. It's like all the signs are there. So it's like, however you want to call it, the fact that what took place actually took place. Now we could talk about how they got in and all this other stuff, but at the end of the day, man, like, that was an unprecedented thing to take place in the United States. It was something that had never taken place before. And
the Boston Tea Party.
Yeah, exactly. We talking like old time stuff like that. In the modern world, that was unheard of, man.
Also, I think the day that it happened on is very important, and whether it was an insurrection or not, because it happened on the day where Pence was voting for the actual peaceful transition of power. And if it was just a random day, okay, but the day that you do peaceful transition of power, if you try to run and interrupt it, it absolutely has to be an insurrection. Like, you can't, like, because they were trying to interrupt peaceful transfer of power, stop democracy. That's what we all fight for, and like, then people go to wars for that, and they tried to stop it that day. And I think that's what gets lost on it. Not just that they ran in, but why were they running in? What day were they running in?
Trump is like that girlfriend who said, "You gonna let him talk to me that way?" And then as soon as you smack that nigga, I didn't say hit him. I didn't
tell you to do that.
I didn't tell you to do anything like that. Like that's exactly what it is, yo. Like I didn't say do anything.
My favorite thing about Trump is that he talks in code like a mafia boss at all times. Like no matter what it is. And that's the slickest thing about him. Whether it's like he's talking to black people.
Well, you know his background when you say mafia boss there, like, you know what I'm saying? Like doing real estate in New York.
Right. During the 80s.
We gave him cement shoes, capiche?
Yeah, like
Come on, man.
Have you ever heard Trump talk policy? He just talk, I'm gonna use G's word, adjacently to it. And he'll just talk about a thing. But he doesn't even like completely address it. Like he just talks close enough to where like if you understand the dog whistles, you'd be like, That's my favorite thing about Trump because if you're not paying attention, you'll think that he's just saying shit.
Right.
But if you actually read between the lines, it's a lot being said.
It's gonna be huge.
So I'm gonna bring Patrick's time up. We got to call it. I think this is gonna be fun. So, hey, Patrick's time. How you doing? Can you hear us?
Yep.
All right. Well, I guess as he gets his together, I don't know. Can you hear us?
Yeah.
All right. Cool. So just to give you a quick rundown, just basic rules, where pretty much we're gonna give you time and space to kind of talk. We try to keep everything within 2 minutes, and if we're going back and forth, we'll keep it within a minute. And yeah, we love to hear your opinion. I'm gonna throw the tone real quick to let him finish off his point, and then I love to hear your perspective on what we've been talking about. Tone.
Oh, I wasn't saying anything. That was somebody else.
Oh no, I guess you had like a little bit of January 6th, not an insurrection talk.
Oh, no. What I was about to say is sometimes we got to be aware that like we're watching theater. Like some stuff is theater, and what I mean by that is what I remember seeing during that time period was they was letting those people in on purpose. Like it was like they was letting these people in. So I'm like, there was a thing to that. Like it's like I know what day it was that happened, but it's like there was kind of a show being put on in order to orchestrate something else later on. But I ain't gonna go too far down the conspiracy hole. Just saying some stuff be theater.
Gotcha. So I'm gonna throw to Patrick, and then we got a wrap up question, and then we'll kind of wind things down, fellas. Patrick, how you doing? Let us know your name, where you're from, your political leanings, and then just give us your perspective on what you've heard. I feel like you got something to say.
Yeah, no, appreciate the opportunity. I'm from Texas.
Okay,
shout out Texas.
Yeah.
South Texas, West Texas, North Texas. That's a big ass state.
Yeah.
That's what he's saying.
South Texas.
Okay.
Central Texas. But
I lived in Dallas for a while.
I live on the ranch. I sell ranches.
I know the I-35 corridor I know the I-35 corridor myself, so I'm familiar.
So west of 35.
Okay.
But you guys are well spoken. Appreciate listening to you guys, and I want to point out that the world is a stage, and everything. Nothing happens by accident, you know. What we saw on January 6th, that was an act, and insurrections don't happen without guns. If a bunch of people wanted to show up in D.C. and overthrow the country, you better believe they're going to show up with a lot of guns, and they're going to have walkie-talkies, and they're going to be orchestrating, running around, not walking between lines, ropes, taking pictures. And now we got grandpas in jails. We got people being picked up from their homes, and it's absurd. We're witnessing political warfare. I mean, people want to talk about what's happened about people dying in Russia. Like some guy dies in a Russian jail. Everyone wants to make a big deal out of that so we can go to war with Russia. But yeah, we got people dying in Ukraine jail that are American journalists, and we got American so-called patriots. We got people that believe in the Constitution, did believe that the election was fraudulent, and that's their right, and they got co-opted to go into the Capitol. But they don't deserve to be in jail for 10 years, 15 years. Some of these people are being tortured. They're being destroyed in jail. It's not right, man. So the movement that we're seeing right now with Trump is not about Trump. It's just about the idea that the government's overstepped their bounds, and people are realizing that they're coming after all of us, guys, no matter what your race is, no matter who you are.
And what I told y'all, didn't I told y'all that. See,
Yeah, you just said it too.
Hey, Patrick, can I ask you a question?
Talk to me, my man.
Can you hear me? Now, and I think this is, I'm an independent, and I try not to have a dog in a fight with these type of conversations, because the only way to have a fair conversation. But you said like a government has like overstepped their bounds, and this movement is like a movement to kind of take that away. Is there any concern of putting all your trust into one man? And because the opposite could happen, where it becomes a dictatorship. And is there any fear of that with Trump because of how because of his personality and how outspoken he is?
This isn't about Trump, though, my man. Trump is a big FU, a big middle finger to the Mitch McConnells, the Lindsey Grahams, the John McCain, the Mitt Romneys. I mean, these guys have been the so-called establishment, the representation of the Republican Party, yet the whole country wanted nothing to do with them the whole time. And finally, we got somebody that's saying all of them are corrupt. All these guys are corrupt, guys. I mean, I don't realize how anybody could even stand up for any of these people. Like we're past the point of return, guys. This is it, man. Like every 100 days, we have $1 trillion in debt accumulating. This is it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Y'all are fighting over establishment politicians that have been in business, and business selling us out for the last 20, 30 years. Mitt Romney, Mitch McConnell, Nancy Pelosi, all these people.
How about the next one? Yep. She off the chain.
Patrick, let me ask you this question.
Talk to me.
So what do you see as a solution? So you're saying that we're fighting against I guess establishment politics and establishment politicians.
What do you want to call it? What would you call these people?
Oh well, I'm not disagreeing with you. I'm just kind of building to ask you the question. Do you see Trump as kind of like the person that's going to quote unquote drain the swamp? That's kind of what his initial thing was ran on. Again, I think you have the outliers of the new, I guess you would say, Republican Party next, where they talk about the bureaucracy, they talk about the deep state, they talk about, again, career politicians and their impact on actually getting things done. What do you think is actually going to be the thing to get done? Do you think it's
the last thing I want the government to do is get things done, because every time they do get things done, it's against our benefit. And right at the end of the day, we don't need government getting anything done, man. Look, government is not here to save us. Trump is not going to save us, guys. Biden's not going to save you. There's nobody coming to save you. At this point, it's a matter of coming to the realization of where we are, what our future looks like, how we got here, and come together as a people and come together as a community and say, you know what, guys, we need to figure out how we can move forward, because these people are not going to help us. They're done. They've sold us out already. So the idea that nobody thinks Trump is the the solution to our problem. He is the product of our environment. He is, because we are in this environment, we do have Donald Trump. But I'll tell you this, there hadn't been a president in modern day history, maybe until Reagan, that has actually represented the people. I mean, every other president has been a product of the CIA and was bought and paid for by the establishment, where the people really had no voice in the action. I mean, Obama may be an exception, but Obama was a product of the CIA. He is not who you think he is, guys.
Oh yeah.
Not
Oh
true.
yeah, no, I don't trust that. I don't trust him.
I'll
Shouts out
ask
to Michael.
you a question,
Shouts out to Michael.
I agree. But I guess I'll ask you the question: do you think that Trump is for the people? To me, when I see Trump, I think of like a really good salesman, where he has been able, and what he has did with the Republican Party is
Okay.
activated a lot of.
Has there ever been? Go ahead.
Let me finish. So I think that he's activated a lot of dormant voters, where he talks specifically to like a lot of like the rural Republicans that hadn't been heard in a while. But he himself.
All right. Hey, the rural voter, if you look at a map of the country and you look at the counties won, Joe Biden won the fewest counties of any president in history. And as did Obama. You might win the majority vote, and you guys look at votes maybe differently. But if you look at a map where the majority of the county voted one way, it's a red map. So the rural voter is always red.
Oh, right. Well, I guess what I'm saying again is that it was a lot of dormant voters that were inside rural in which he awakened, right?
They weren't voting.
Let me finish the point.
Yeah, go ahead.
So I guess to me, what makes it hard for me to believe he's for the people, though, and not just the salesman, is that nothing about him actually represents them. And to me, and that's what makes it seem like the biggest sales ploy. Not that he has, because I think he has effectively spoken to a heart of people that had felt unheard, for sure. Like you can't really like dispute that. I just question sometimes, is it just him being
So can I chime in on that one right there?
Yeah.
I say one thing I think about Donald Trump is that he likes people to like him. That's one of the reasons I'm kind of, I don't want to say king, but it's one of the reasons I kind of will want to vote for him, because he likes for the people to like him. So he listens to what the people are saying. Like nobody's going to be behind him if he's not doing anything that people are asking him to do. But he actually does stuff that people are asking him to do. And I think that's a big deal. Like how often do you see that happen where a group of people make a demand and it happens like instantly?
Hey, let me say something real quick.
Very like playable.
Can I say something real quick? Hey, but you're talking about dormant voters. If there's anybody that can come to a political environment and invigorate them to come forward and actually vote for the first time and they never voted for, that's pretty powerful, and that speaks to people that have been spoken to. And also, when you talk about Trump, it's not about supporting him as much as it's seeing who the people that are against him. And I'm against the people that are against him. If these people are so villains, like just totally against him and think he is so bad, then I'm always going to take the opposite side of these guys, always.
And a lot of them also have they come with actually more violence. I mean, look at what Charles Barkley did, right, on ESPN, saying that if someone had on a Trump shirt with the mugshot shirt, he said he'll punch he'll punch. I'm like,
she said you bail him out.
Right, exactly, and then get bailed out. You have the people whenever you go to these Ivy League schools, certain college institutes, when like a Candace Owens pulls up or anything like that, like these, like look at how aggressive they are towards their talking points, and the moment that they get met with the moment that they're met with the logic, and opposed to the emotionally driven narrative that they're trying to impose onto the speaker, it's like it then they become irate, and it's like, oh, now I feel attacked.
You also say the same for like the right in Gaza and the right in Palestine.
You said what?
Do you understand what I'm saying?
Like, you're referring to the people in Gaza is on the right?
No. I'm speaking about for example, college campuses, well, not college, just in general, right now, it is really faux pas inside like the political spectrum to speak against
So
or
wouldn't
speak for
Netanyahu be considered being on the far right?
Say it again?
Netanyahu would be considered being on the far right.
Yeah, I think you misunderstood what I was saying. I wasn't saying, Netanyahu is for sure far right when it comes down to Israel, for sure. That's not what I was saying. But yeah, keep going, Bo.
Oh no, I was just saying, like, as far as like, it goes back to whatever the narrative that is spun. Like when you see on certain platforms, it's like just talking about how the right is always, violent, all the time. But there's more you see on camera. You'll see more like the left attacking the right if you have an opposing, an opposing thought. I've had someone, say to me, like this back in the Hillary days, saying like, I could just slap the shit out of you, and I said, I wish you fucking would. That'd be the last face you slap. It's like,
But I guess
that's
I'll be fair. I think that very much so. Who dropped out? Oh, that was
Johnny
Newton.
But yeah, I guess just to be fair though, I will say the right reacts a lot similar when it comes down to anything inside the spectrum of like LGBTQ.
Hey, are you okay with young children cutting their penises off?
I am not for trans. Like none of us in here are like.
Yeah.
Yo, gotta come that, Patrick. You a wild boy. That was.
That's crazy.
Hey, this stuff is getting out of control, guys.
Yeah, it is.
Oh man, that was a wild question.
Gender affirming care, whatever you want to call it. At some point, you got to say enough is enough, guys.
No, listen, I'm not disagreeing with you. I'm only speaking to the concept that I do think that both sides are really, really triggered. Again, like this is a to be fair.
Okay.
I'll play like.
Hear me out real quick. Hey, so historically speaking, do you think the right has gotten more far to the right, or do you think the left has gotten further left to the left when we're talking about we don't know what a woman is, and we're going to talk about gender affirming care and all this stuff? And the right on the right are pretty much where they are, if I'm not mistaken. I mean, has the right gone further to the right, or has the left gone further to the left?
I'm with you.
I think that like because there is really, really far right too, where you have I can't remember.
What does that mean? What does that mean?
There is an alt-right movement that I would say would be like extreme right.
What's his name?
He's what does that even mean compared to cutting penises off?
Yeah, that's it.
Again, I don't think
how is that even on the spectrum, guys?
No, so I think that there we go. He said it right there. Nick Fuentes. I think Nick Fuentes is about as far right as you can go, where he's really, really like white supremacist. I'm trying to think of what the word is. He uses a specific name, but he looks at America as an Aryan nation, and like that's what he's going for. And he has a really big base.
No, he doesn't.
I think the far left is
you haven't listened to him.
All the LGBTQ, gender, all that shit. Like they're like it's the horseshoe that both of them becomes really, really extreme. I don't think that most people actually identify with white nationalists, identify with either side of those things. I think most people are like fairly centrist, and you might lean a little depending on the issue, a little right or a little left, to be honest. I think the exaggeration is the fars.
Hey, so what's the most far right thing that you can think of from Nick Fuentes that he said or that he believes?
So I would have to like really run down like a Nick Fuentes rabbit hole, but he thinks that black people are degenerate, have degenerate.
Come on, man, that's not true.
No,
that's not true.
I guess all I would say is like pull up a Nick Fuentes. Like he's not really hard to find. He's banned off of like YouTube.
I've watched him. I've listened to him more than you have, obviously.
It can't. Then you've heard him literally say these things. I forget what is the thing that he consistently gets out about sleeping with a black woman is the same as sleeping with a dog inside his mind? Is that
Oh
not
my
like
Jeez, man.
again, you can run it down. Like I only have like a brushing knowledge, but then I've also seen him in long format where he doesn't shy away from the fact that he does believe in very specific things, and he looks at America as a white.
But let me, I like to interject too, because I don't know Nick Fuentes, but
Yeah.
just in the comparison, like I can agree that, say, a modern progressive has moved further to the left than, say, a modern Republican has moved further to the left than a modern Republican has moved further to the right. But the thing about that is, which is troubling for me, is that when we talk about, say, this movement further to the right, it does move into what we would call white supremacy. And it sounds like the mindset is I'm more comfortable with white supremacy than with people saying that I'm born a woman and want to be a man. And so if it's
where's the white supremacy going into, say, black neighborhoods and shooting them up? Like, how are the white supremacists doing? I mean, the violence rate is not coming from so-called white supremacists. Where is this threat that you speak of, and who are these white supremacists? Because I'm a white guy and I sit around a lot of white people, Mexican people, black people. I don't like where's the rally tonight, guys? You know, like I don't know what y'all talk about when you refer to us as some kind of white supremacist, man. I don't have a white privilege card that I present at the bar at night and say, hey guys, here's my white privilege card, man. Like, give me a credit.
So for example, like the when you said us, so you identify as like I don't know where the whites join to have their meetings. Like I don't know where I wouldn't know how to, and I wouldn't group all whites together because that's not what I'm trying to say. But what I do know about some of these more rural areas is that they are more homogeneous in population. So there isn't as diverse of an exposure to different backgrounds and things of that nature.
Communities, that happens in Chinese communities. That's just part of the way we are as a species.
But
man.
that doesn't deny. So are you saying that white supremacy is just a complete fallacy? Is that what you would say?
I would say there is no regime out there. There's no group of people that are out there trying to collaborate and think that they're better than you guys and say, like, we're going to have our meeting about us white people and us white folks. Like, I don't know where you guys live. I'm down here in the South Texas region, and I'm a minority amongst Mexican people, and they're Americans. Every time I sit next to these people at the bar, as far as I'm concerned, they're Americans, man. And that goes for anybody I sit with and anybody I talk with.
So I guess, like, because to me, I'm just thinking about it. Wouldn't Nick Fuentes kind of like, wouldn't that apply to him? Like he has.
But the question was, does white supremacy a fallacy? Is that like, is it a fallacy or is it something that's true? Like
in modern age, yes, it's a fallacy that me and my white folk are running around trying to impoverish you or jeopardize.
That's not what white supremacy is, though. I want to be clear on that. What you're describing is not what I would equate to white supremacy.
If I have it, I'd like to know about it.
Well, see, that's the thing. I don't know if you have it because I define white supremacy as more institutional than a personal power that someone has. And like you said, we're in the South. I'm in North Carolina, so the makeup down here isn't as heavily influenced by the Hispanic population as it is on a state that was formerly a part of Mexico, right? So in terms of the makeup of the average person in Texas versus the average person in North Carolina, it's just a lot different. And when we talk about white supremacy, it's institutional. It's about things like, for example, redlining, things like in terms of how they redistrict to manipulate votes in certain districts, like things that are decisions that are made that have impacts on certain classes of individuals. Now, that's something that I think has been true throughout the test of time and from America as an institution. But it's like if you don't agree with that, I think that's just somewhere where it's like it's tough for people to get on the same page because like how do we not agree on something that seems so obvious to one side.
But I think what you're referring to is gerrymandering. Gerrymandering was actually created years ago to allow for representation of different neighborhoods that weren't being represented by their legislation. So the whole gerrymandering thing was created a long time ago to represent neighborhoods. It's gerrymandering, but
can I ask a question?
gerrymandering is not the issue that we have. These cities have been under control amongst Democratic control for generations, many decades, guys. And year after year, they promise things and they do things, and there are no results, and things do deteriorate. Every city across the country is, for the most part, a blue city. Even in the state of Texas, there might be one city in Fort Worth that is somewhat.
Yeah, I was about to say Fort Worth and Dallas for sure.
Dallas is a blue city.
Yeah, it's a very blue city, surprisingly.
And even the media is blue media at this point. That's one of the things that gets me. I'm like, we're constantly being sold. We're being sold a story most of the time. And that's what I believe too. Like, I don't think black people's biggest problem is white supremacy. Like, I've been an advocate on that anyway, because in order to say white supremacy, you have to admit black inferiority. And I don't think I'm inferior to nobody. Just saying that. But I think we've been sold a story most of the time. And actually having this discussion, Patrick, I'm very glad that you joined, because we need to have more of these discussions where we do get this fallacy, because a lot of black people, when they talk about white supremacy, do believe that it's just the white person in the neighborhood that's like the cause of it or something. We're not actually addressing the people that would be in control of, as you said, gerrymandering, or what we call white supremacy.
And gerrymandering, that's just a small example of institutional white supremacy that I was speaking about. But like,
hey, is affirmative action institutional racism?
So I love that you asked that question.
That can get dissected a bunch of ways. Go ahead. I'll let you get that.
Now, so from my point of view, that's a point. That's exactly what I mean by access to opportunities can largely be impacted by not just where you're from, but also how much money you make and also how you look. And because of the generational damage when you descend from slavery, when slavery ended, like, things just weren't equal and fair for black people in America. It just wasn't. And the opportunities that black folks had in the 1800s, 1900s, and then what was done to those thriving black communities post Great Depression, these things were done in a way that had a disproportionate impact to black wealth. So when we talk about affirmative action, it's like my question would be, would reparations be racist if affirmative action is racist? Because to me, there are certain things that, as descendants of black slaves, American slavery, I think that when you descend from that particular group of people, the country of America, there's a debt that has not been paid.
All right, so Vivek Ramaswamy kind of said it pretty nicely when he talked about how affirmative action has actually benefited more migrants, people that have come over here.
Asians, yeah, I agree.
It also benefits white women more than black people. But
yeah.
Like, these are all kind of
so affirmative action is no longer about descendants of slaves.
It never was
a tragedy under this country. We all agree.
And it never was. That was how it was sold.
It was wrapped up in a way in which minorities, which again can go from white women to Arab people coming over across the seas. Black people did not benefit inside as high rate and inside high success.
Okay. Hey, but why should any person be judged or hired based over another person because of the color of their skin, because they're a minority, or because they're gay, or because they're trans, or whatever? Why do they get more cool points than just an everyday average American.
So, Patrick, none of us are making an argument for affirmative action. You brought that up.
So we all agree.
I
don't think it's racist. I don't think affirmative action is racist. That was your original question, I believe. I don't think it's racist.
So to look at one person over the other and say, I'm going to hire this one based on the skin color versus this person, that's not the definition of racism?
No, that's not the definition of racism, and that's not what I don't think affirmative action is defined as. It's not that you have to hire based off of this criteria. It's about access to opportunities.
So Patrick and G, just pause real quick. We got a couple new people. I think it's a couple, at least one new person to the panel. So I'm gonna give them the ability to speak for a quick second. So Trey, 2 minutes. We try and keep it within 2. When you're going back and forth, 1 minute each. I'll kind of give you the floor. You've been sitting, you've been listening, you've been tapped in. Let us know what you think.
You're on mute.
Yeah, you gotta unmute it, big dog.
Yourself.
Hey, it looks like he's been hunting.
Something like that.
That's
What's
me.
up, y'all? I've been meaning to tap
Yo,
in.
tell Texas, buddy.
Y'all can hear me?
What up, big dog? What up, big dog? That's my brother right there,
What's up,
man.
family? What's up?
You said you're from Texas? You're a Texas boy?
Man, I'm a Carolina man. You feel me?
Okay.
Yes, sir.
We was throwing up them Spurs, man. We was throwing up them Spurs.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
All right.
Yeah, I mean, you know what I'm saying? Like, you know, the close proximity from the suburbs, you know what I mean?
Adjacent.
Yeah,
Like
yeah,
what
yeah.
man G say.
South Charlotte. You feel me?
Okay.
But just trying to tap in with y'all, man. I love with y'all. This good conversation. I love how for a long time you haven't really heard we didn't really have a voice, especially us as white black men. Like we had like a lot of the Oprahs out there talking bad about us. We had a lot of these media outlets talking bad about us, and now you get to put the mic on the fellas and we get to say our piece, and it's a lot of what I mean. We don't really do a lot of. I don't want to talk down on other groups, but you don't really see a lot of this stuff that you see in other like groups that we do, because it seems like we just want to be left alone, like straight up. Like a lot of the things that we've dealt with, we're really fighting from behind. Because when you were just talking about reparations and affirmative action, all that, it's crazy. Like other groups had affirmative action, like what do they call it when they gave them all the free land going west and everything like that?
They went out and gave them land grants.
They got land grants to all the people that came originally. Now the migrants coming to America, now they're getting free rent and all that, free land. And it means while black people, nobody's contributed more to this nation than us for free. Like we fought in every war. We were responsible for everything that was built here, every state, every city. Even the economy was built off of us. And we didn't really get anything. So when we get something at all, we're the only people that they really go out of the way to fight against. Like nobody's really fighting against this money going to migrants, going to non-citizens, going to Ukraine. But as soon as we want something at all, then everyone's all up in arms. And I think the only reason they're like that is because they know that if there's an equal playing field, then all this will be over. Because honestly, if we never got any reparations and after slavery, if they had just not, allowed the Confederate soldiers to operate basically like domestic terrorism, like running roughshod against us, like they didn't do that against us, we wouldn't even be asking for reparations. I know it's not even the topic, but just that's my position. I'm just so happy that nowadays we're not just like slaves to mainstream media and then the narratives they want us to know. Like even our own history here in America, they don't talk about our contributions over here at all. It's like anything that we do gets downplayed. All of our contributions, even with like the music that we export, which is like one of the biggest exports of America, when it goes like country, rock, jazz, hip hop, like all the blues, all the foundation comes from us. So we've contributed so much, but we get like the media, even Hollywood was started off of Birth of a Nation, which started the KKK, and MGM. Even on the bottom of the MGM logo, it shows a picture of a man in blackface. So it's like,
hey, you said that who created
trying to be like us?
Well, straight up. So it's just good.
Hey, it's the Democrat Party that created the KKK.
Say what?
It was the Democrat Party that started the KKK.
Man, well, who's protecting the Confederate monuments now? Is it the Democrats or the Republicans?
That's part of our history, man. You don't delete our scars and the mistakes we've made and what's part of our culture. Just like it's something we learn from. It's something to these men were legends in their own time. And they did a lot of good.
Legends.
Just because
was Hitler a legend?
But hey, hold on. Hey, Patrick, I got a question. How can you say like white supremacy don't exist, but then like we got people that literally fought to be black people slaves and their statues are still up, and that's just a part of the dollars, and it's just part of the history. But clearly, it's part of the legacy, and that legacy still exists to this day. Okay, and like you just admitted that white supremacy was an issue.
So, hey, two things real quick. So Patrick, I really want you to answer that question. Now, I think that's it's like I think the conversation. I think the conversation is getting to like a really fun point. And I first want to say I think it's really, really fired the conversation that we are having, where obviously from
this is what we're supposed to be doing, man. Hey, we're a lot more alike than we're different, man.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Big facts.
I think that this is really, really good.
Okay, so let me talk.
Yeah, go ahead, Patrick. I was kind of like interjecting, like cool it down a little bit. But here we go. Let's go.
And
yeah,
I got nothing but love for you guys, man.
Oh, and life.
I would love to buy y'all a drink. I'd love to bring y'all out to my ranch and go hunting with you guys and do some cooking for y'all, man. We smoke everything down here, man. We cook a mean brisket and some mean ribs, pork pie.
Let me bring it out.
That sounds like
a cowboy hat out.
Oh, my cowboy hat over there.
There you go.
I got one too.
Let's do it, man. Hey, you give me your number, man. I'll bring you down. I'll fly you down.
Make sure your location on.
Hey, so hear me out, man. As far as the South goes, man.
Okay.
The South, when we have the Confederate flag, it's not about that we hate black people or that we appreciate the days of having slaves, because the majority of the people in the South didn't have slaves. There's about 1% to 2% of the population across the country that actually owned slaves. So when you're talking about the whole idea that everybody in the South had slaves, it's just not true. Most people didn't have slaves. It was just a part of the plantation owners, the farmers that were producing the food. But the South is the South, and there's a lot of culture down here in the South. And I'll tell you this, the South is less racist than the North is. You go to parts of Boston, you go to parts of the North up there, and it's a whole nother ball game compared to the South down here, because we're all gentlemen and we all like a good person as if they're a good person. It has nothing to do with, we are diverse down here more so than you would think.
But Patrick, can I ask you this? Like, if and I understand that's how you feel about it, and like it's like you might not look at it and feel any hatred our way, but when we say that we look at it and we feel a type of way, how come like that isn't respected? And because like it's offensive to black people, period, blank. And like, why does it have to be any more conversation?
Direct that hate towards the corporations, the plantations, and the small percentage of the population that actually had slaves. The rest of the people,
what about the people who are flying the flag that we have an issue with? Why can't we have an issue with the flag?
Those are the people that don't own slaves. None of them.
I'm not talking about. I'm talking about the flag and the people.
And the Civil War versus the North and the South. A lot of that wasn't about slavery. For many years, Lincoln had no part and wanted no part of making it about slavery, and it wasn't until his re-election that he made it about slavery. So it was more about
Patrick. Y'all lost the war, and like, when do people who lose wars ever get to fly their flag and say in the same country that they lost a war in? And it's like you can't carry a Nazi flag in Germany anymore because they lost. So it's like y'all lost that war and still carrying the flag, and that's the issue people have. And like why can't y'all understand that?
And we have people that fly the Mexican flag and the Palestine flag and all kinds of flag in this country all the time. And it's not a problem.
So,
Can I add
Patrick, real
something real
quick,
quick?
I'll let you get in right after me. I was recently informed of this, and correct me if I'm incorrect, but to my understanding, the Confederate flag that flies today is actually a flag that was flown from a specific battle in the Civil War. So it actually isn't representative of the Southern people's heritage, but of literally the fight for Confederacy. And that war that they won, in which they wasn't supposed to win, I guess, but they won that. Go ahead. I love to hear what like your response to that, because it's.
I had no response to it because I had no issue with that or concern with that. If it was flown in that war, as far as I'm concerned, that whole war was about the control of the federal governments versus the states.
You can't say that, Patrick. You can't say that, Patrick.
My fault. Can I ask?
Are you okay with the federal government having complete and total control over all the states across the country and doing what they've done at this point? I mean, the federal government.
I'm also not okay with slavery being legal.
Straight up.
That was issued by the government. That wasn't issued. You realize that Jim
Hear me
Crow.
out. But
Jim
you
Crow
realize that
was federally issued.
the only way that slavery would have been able to be existent is if the majority of the population was complicit. Because you say that a small percentage owned slaves, but who are the overseers? Who are the people that were in the cotton trade? Who are the people that were running? Like, everyone benefited from it, and everyone turned a blind eye, and everyone was complicit. And also, when we talk about reparations and stuff like that, we're talking about the government, because the government was complicit also. So it wasn't just like 2% had their own little thing and only they're responsible. It's almost like people like to play like hot potato with racism. Like, because another thing that people like to do is they like to blame, like get into what they call like anti-Semitism thing, to where they're like, it wasn't just us, it was them. It was like, but from the perspective of if you're enslaved and you're running away and you're being chased by some people who aren't slave owners and they put the dolls on you, do you really care that you're not the 10% the 2% that own plantations? No, you just see the majority of the people who are complicit and they benefit from white supremacy. So it's kind of like a cheap cop-out, and it's very, it's almost like a bad faith argument to say that just because we didn't profit meant that we weren't complicit.
Hey, Patrick, before you go, just saying,
I wasn't even around. Like, I wasn't even born.
No, I'm not saying you. I'm talking to people at the time.
Yeah,
you
hey,
said
Patrick,
it was only 2%.
Patrick, real quick, wanting to wrap this up, and then we'll kind of try and throw it at least back to the topic that's listed underneath the video. But I understand that we about to go in a circle like a motherfucker. Patrick, go ahead.
My bad.
Patrick,
it's on you, Patrick.
Hey, talk to me. What do you got?
Oh no, I thought you had a response. I didn't want to cut you off. Well, yeah. So I think we was at Trump. I guess. My boy, he's brought his hat back out. Trey, we haven't heard your perspective yet, so we'll kind of bring you in. Where we were at was Trump's push for blacks. Is it pandering?
Don't touch little kids' dinglings.
Is it politics? I don't know. I guess we was kind of wrapping the conversation up. And Patrick, we kind of got a bit of your perspective where you believe that Trump is the outsider that's actually kind of giving the middle finger to the establishment. And so you're for that. But yeah, I'll throw to Trey, throw to Patrick, and love to get your opinions to kind of wrap this segment up.
That's one thing I will agree with Patrick on. I do think he is an outsider giving the middle finger up. Well,
yeah, I like it.
But I don't like. I don't know, man. Like, it's like, do you want white supremacist good cop, white supremacist bad cop? Because like, I think I like Trump. I think I like Trump more than I like his base, because Trump.
Have you heard the things that Biden has said in his past?
I'm not a Biden fan. I cannot stand.
We
Biden.
played some of them earlier.
Yeah,
he authored the 1994 crime bill.
Crime bill, yes.
We rip him for that all the time.
But I like to talk about the crime bill in nuance. But
he authored the Patriot Act too, my man.
He was a segregationist.
Hands off.
Yeah, he was.
He eulogized the KKK member.
Yeah,
but Trump's father was in the KKK. So I mean, like, you
can't punish people for their parents or their kids. Accomplishments. You can't credit to. You've got to be careful with that, because back in the day, man, the 60s, the KKK was like a church sermon for a lot of people. Like it was just, like crazy as that sounds. Hey, for the Democrats, it was a Democrat party, guys.
Oh man, you're right. It was like regular service. It was just like white hoods abound. Like it was just like you said, a regular Sunday service.
They met in the church
Robert
for
Byrd.
lunch.
He was the one that was sermonized by many of the Democrats, Clinton and all them. He still got statues up there. He was the head of the KKK.
Sunday afternoon.
In the 50s and 60s, that was the Democrat Party, guys. That was the Democrat Party. I don't know why that's so funny, but
again, none of us are Democrats in here. I don't think. I don't think we have nobody in here that's a Democrat. Now I think Bo with the cowboy hat, he's a registered Republican. But I like to ask you this because yes, you said in the 60s, the KKK was almost as concurrent as a church sermon.
I think it was before that. It was it started before that, and it was started by the Democrats.
Cool. So I guess my question is, how do you think that, or what? You're in Texas, so you're in the heart of the South. How have y'all cleansed yourself from that teaching and ideology not being passed down from generation to generation?
How many people do you think there are it was like 6,000 people in the nation, man. This isn't a huge operation. I don't understand. I think I need to cleanse myself from a party or a people that I had no association with, or none of my friends had any association with.
Gotcha. So listen, I'm only going off the assumption of what you said, because you're saying that it was really, really prevalent back inside, whether it was
within the Democrat Party in the South. Yes, it was part of their process in which they raised money. Yeah. This is the Democrats. These are the people that I oppose.
It wasn't MLM.
People that are supporting modern day slavery by bringing in people and making them second rate citizens and losing 87,000 of kids that have just been shipped all over the country. We don't know who they are, where they are. We got sleeper cells of no telling what nation in here, ready to be activated and do all kinds of stuff. This is no joke.
Hold on. Read the comment from Unc, and then Trey, you got it. It said the only reason why Lincoln wanted to free the slaves was to hurt the South.
Have you ever read the Emancipation Proclamation? He didn't free all the slaves. He only freed the slaves that were neighboring the states that benefited him for the war against the South.
Yes. Yep.
Yep. Trey.
Don't give Lincoln this credit that he was some.
Well, Pat,
friend of Black Americans, because he never was. He wanted to ship all the Black Americans back to Africa after the war. He wanted no part of them, guys.
We don't fuck with Lincoln. Fuck Lincoln too.
Hey, please don't be on the same page. I like this guy. Yeah,
the comment was pro Lincoln either. Yeah, that comment wasn't pro Lincoln.
Yeah, fuck him too, man.
Don't be confused.
I throw all the pennies in the trash.
Fuck him.
We talking about.
Fuck Al Sharpton.
Yeah, I was say, hey,
fuck
Pat,
Jesse Jackson. Fuck Oprah.
Again, we have to alleviate assumptions. As you seem like we're not an assumed group. Like we're not assumed.
Yeah, I get that.
Affirmative action lovers. Like, yeah, we're not assumed any of those. Trey.
Fuck the Clintons.
Those are a couple. That's the only problem. Like back to what you were saying about Trump. Like as much as I like how Trump is trying to close the border, because I don't like how the majority Black cities are becoming sanctuary cities, and the resources that are intended for the people there that need some help are being diverted towards non-citizens. But I like Trump for that. But I don't like how his base kind of assumes that we're just, all the stereotypes about us. That that part gets kind of annoying. It's like, but at the end of the day, I'm about tangibles.
Is it possible that you assume that we think that you?
We don't think that, bro. You were just surprised that we aren't like fans of Lincoln, and you just keeping talking about how the Democrats are bad. We already agree on that. Like nobody is a fan of Democrats. So why are you even bringing up the Democrats as if like that's not something? Like why are we talking about something we all agree on? It's like you just assume that we like Democrats. It's just like why? Like none of us like Democrats, man.
I'm just trying to point out the simple fact that the people that think like I do, which you would not think, don't think that we think any less of you or
what about those shoes?
I want a pair. We've already covered that.
He said, "What about the shoes?" Oh my god!
Like we don't want them. We were like, what about the mug shot? I was considering Trump before the mug shot. But then he's like, well, black people like me because you like mug shots and sneakers. Now I'm like, come on, y'all. Like, can y'all stop being racist for 5 seconds?
That hurts your feelings, man. Do you really have that thin skin? Come on, man. It's always funny. You know, like we grew up on South Park and The Simpsons, and like we're getting upset about that.
To assume that we're fans of criminality, like, come on, man. To assume that we just like some gold, gaudy sneakers.
I mean,
hey, the shoes look good though, didn't they?
No.
Ugly, bro.
No, I mean,
on the
like, those shoes are ugly as fuck, but I want a pair. You know what I'm saying?
You want a
I
pair?
want for the novelty.
Oh, I said you already said you want a pair. Let me read this real quick.
I stand on what I said.
I think that
Hey, y'all got Trey pissed off, man. Trey,
man, come on. Like, I don't know what's worse, the ugly shoes or Kamala Harris twerking with HBCUs in the White House.
Was she really busting it open in the White House? Was she really busting it wide open in the White House?
She was really busting it wide the fuck up. That's why I mentioned earlier.
I'm saying like how good was the twerking though? Like was she?
Man, look, it was ghetto.
It was musty twerking because a lot of them were from they weren't FBA.
Hey, but Trey, you know Kamala, aka from Howard, though. You know that, right?
Kamala is an Indian Jamaican lady from the Caribbean who is black every 4 years.
Hey guys, her family were slave owners.
Like, you don't have to tell us how bad the Democrats are, man. Like, let's just talk about the tangibles. It's kind of when people assume.
Fair. And I guess I get what you're saying.
Hey, I don't like the Republicans either, man. Like I said earlier, Mitch McConnell, Mitt Romney, Lindsey Graham, John McCain.
We agree on that too.
I think one thing I want to highlight that I think cuts across everything is it goes back to one point that Patrick made earlier about elitists, in that even in those days there was an elite class of people who had the majority of the wealth and resources. And whether it was Texas, whether it was Alabama, Mississippi, you name it, there were certain families everywhere that owned everything. And if you weren't a part of those families, you were essentially like the have-nots. And that's the genius of America, to create a system of race to where they put the have-nots against each other from the start, to take the attention off the real focus of the folks in power, who are really the ones behind the curtain pulling all the strings. And so, like, I agree with the sentiment that, the average white American in those times was poor, uneducated, didn't have many resources, illiterate.
I would imagine the average white American and black American back then were probably more educated than they are today.
Cat.
I don't know about that. It was illegal for us to read, and we had to,
and the only difference between the poor whites and the poor blacks is the poor whites went to war to keep the poor black slaves. The blacks didn't go to war to keep white people slaves.
Not just the 2% of the slave owners, but
like if you didn't have slaves and you went to war to fight to keep other people slaves, it's like that's a moral thing, and that's where we get to like, and that's the issue black people have. It's like that's where we have to start questioning it.
I've never owned a slave, guys. My parents have never owned a slave. My grandparents never owned a slave. So this idea of this oppression that I have amassed amongst, people of color, a lot of which might not even be from this country, is absurd, man. And the racial divide is not helping you. It's not helping me. And it's only dividing the country. And we could come together. I do business with people.
But see, we can't come together if y'all can't. If black people want to come together, but there's certain like non-negotiables we have to have unity. And when you say something like that, it just kind of rubs all of us. It makes me feel a certain way because I'm like, you're still not understanding. And that's all it comes down to.
Johnny, I guess I'll play that with
your emotions are not my problem, man.
Emotion.
Pat, I got you. So if I was to play devil's advocate to your perspective, a little bit, I think that we also started this entire conversation based off of the fact that we kind of, as Black people, kind of have to look past racism in general if we're going to take the progressive steps as needed inside this country, whether it
I
be
agree.
at who are we going to vote for, whether like people infantilizing over is Biden or Trump racist, or have they did racist things, and how like it really doesn't make a difference. What is the policy? Is like are they presenting an actual policy that's going to benefit you or not? I think y'all keep talking past each other. Be on something that was like 100 and like I don't know. I don't know the exact year, but amount of years, but 100 like over 150 years or 140 30 years, whatever, right? On like this minute point of like whether like in comparison to right now, if we're speaking about we all have a common enemy, and this gets to like the conversation of why MLK was assassinated, right? It wasn't because of the I had a dream speech. It was because of like when he started doing like the Poor People's March and shit like that, where oh shit, all right, cool. We have our differences, but there's actually a common enemy. We all are disenfranchised, like bottom of the totem pole people who all want. And there's a bunch of people that have, and we are the have-nots. And if we actually pull our mind and resources together, that's where the actual benefit and the power actually lands at. Yeah.
I mean, I agree with that, but I also like.
But to me, like if we circle the wagon we sound just like left eventually. Like if we keep circling the wagon on that. That's all I'm saying.
Oh, but yeah, and I get it, and like to say, but see, and why I stay in the independent is there's certain sides from the left I do feel, and certain sides from the right I do feel. I feel like the more that we get over racism, is the more that white people need to understand the history and what actually really happened in the country, and understand and have empathy. I'm big on empathy. And yeah, I've talked about empathy for Black, empathy for white, and
why do you care about my feelings or my?
That's a good question, John. Why do you care about his feelings?
Yeah, I agree. I agree. I don't give a fuck.
Yeah, I think that's.
I mean, but it's his feelings. But I mean, that comes to
this whole idea, like you want me to feel something for you or something. Like, why do you even fucking care, man?
He can't, bro. I'll be like,
yeah, man. I would, like I said earlier, man. I'd fly you guys down to my ranch anytime.
I mean, that's just I feel like I say. I mean, I know Black people got to get over it, but at the same time, I don't want a white man to tell me to get over it. I want Black people to tell me to get over it.
Hey, the day I do something to you, I will apologize, my man.
I'm not asking you to apologize. I'm not asking you to apologize. I'm just saying this is how I feel on it. You have your feeling on it. I can have my feeling.
Jews get over the Holocaust.
Well, go cry in the corner for a bit and let us talk, okay?
Or like say that to a Jewish person about the Holocaust, like Trey said, or say that about somebody about 9/11 or anything. It's always never like all buildings matter. Like it's always never forget until it's us.
Hey, listen, I will say in Patrick's defense, Nick Fuentes be saying F them Jews also. I ain't gonna lie.
I'm keeping the same energy.
And Patrick, I don't want it to be like I don't want it to be like a friction. You know, we just having a conversation.
I don't throw people up in races or sexes or whatever, man. Like I talk to people as people, man.
I think that's and again, I think in the good.
This is something I'm passionate about.
I think that's where we're all trying to make sure that we're at. The end goal of everything. Trey.
So like under the Confederate flag, like Black women had no rights over their bodies. Black people were not considered human beings. We were being brutalized and treated like the Holocaust. So to wave that flag, do you not see how like for us that is like spitting in our faces when our people were treated less than human under the banner of that flag? Like, you know what I mean? Like, I don't understand how you can like fly that and then not like that's like me going to a Jewish museum and flying a Nazi flag. Like,
many people in the South flew that flag that never owned a slave and never did anything bad to a black.
The collective,
they respected that flag because it was part of the South and what they represented and what they're about and the culture. Besides the fact, aside of that,
but that's a major part, though. For us,
that's not our problem.
Hey, Patrick, could a German person who was born in America could they walk around with a Nazi flag in this country?
Like, that's our culture. It's
and
our
say that's their country. They never did anything to the Jewish people.
Okay, so
they walk around with a Nazi flag.
This is like emotionally driven, like a motherfucker. God damn.
I don't be emotional. My fault.
Hey, I would like for Vo and
That's
G.
crazy, guys. Come on, man. Y'all are unhinged.
Like,
I don't think it's all of us. I don't know.
Hey, there's plenty of black people that fly the Confederate flag in southern states.
Plenty is a stretch.
I mean, but you never answered my question though. What did you say? Like, could I do that or not?
You can do whatever you want, man. I don't know what you're even talking about. You can do whatever you want.
Consequences.
Yeah, Bo and G. I guess we'll start with G. G, what's your take on this?
On what exactly?
On what? I don't know what the fuck we talking about anymore.
I don't know. We circled the wagon on race. Should a black German fly the Nazi flag? I don't know.
Look, man, honestly, I don't like to compare. Honestly, like I don't like. I think when you talk about the institution of America and how slavery relates to that, like America as an institution, it's its own conversation. And if we start talking about wanting people to be empathetic, I don't want anything empathy. I just want the outcomes, so it's like I don't need empathy to negotiate. I don't need empathy to do legislation. I don't need empathy to put policies in place. And if what I need is not because I don't think it's a matter of empathy. Everything, it's a negotiation at the end of the day. And where me personally, where I think as a community, where we often don't have the right things in places, we don't economically have what we need to get the legislative outcome. So
we do have it. We just don't. We don't navigate it, and we don't put it into the right places.
So then we don't have it. You know what I mean? Like,
no, we do have it. We have the access to it. I mean,
we don't have.
What exactly are you expecting? What
black people? What black people spent? What
I want to push back on G's point a little bit about the empathy thing. Because I think
let's move on from your feelings for a bit, man.
Hey, Patrick, I ain't even talking to you right now because I'm going to talk to G. We was having a conversation before you got here, and I want to ask him a question. And I'm going to ask him a question, but G, like I was saying, when it comes to empathy, don't you think that's how, like especially and like the Jewish or the Israeli state after World War II, what helped them get their power? They didn't have a lot of economic prowess to order to go back and take that land.
They did though, but they did. The Jewish community. See, the thing about the state of Israel is that was written in the early 1900s, even before the 40s. Like after the First World War,
it was
even before the First World War. It was already written that they were going to create a Jewish state. That was written in the first. Like it was supposed to be in West Africa, but that didn't work out, right? So they did have the resources, and people didn't empathize with them because they had resources. They got a state. That's the reason why they got the state. Muscle.
But they had a lobby, Britain, to even give them that support. And Britain was the ones who gave
No. They were Jewish British people. You see what I'm saying? Like. They were in Britain. They were in the UK, but they were of Jewish descent, and Jews spread throughout the world. They're not just like in one country. They're not just in one place. And
they actually convinced Parliament because of anti-Semitism and all the attacks that were happening on the Jews in that area, that they needed to create their own state, and it was initiated in the 1910s.
Yeah, early 1900s.
If something bad happened to you, we're going to give you something. That's empathy.
That's not empathy though, bro. Because when you're in power, when you're in a position, when
He said it happened because of anti-Semitism.
Yeah,
If they're being anti-Semitic towards you, and you're saying we're gonna help you out because this is happening to you, we're gonna give you this country.
But when you control money supply, then then it's not so much about empathy. It's about get down or lay down. This is
Shout out to the prop cows, boy.
I mean, yeah.
I mean, like, cause does a owner of a sports team have empathy for his highest paid player?
Nah.
Hey, at the end of the day, guys, it's kind of what I said earlier, man. We're living in a state, like we're living in a movie, and the news and everything is just a big show. It's all a big act. A lot of it is staged, and most of what we see as far as news and information is complete 100% propaganda. Nothing more.
I would agree.
So you got to just kind of look at everything as, I love history, but the fact of the matter is most of our history is not true.
I don't know about that.
No, that's cat. That's why you say it's not true, so you don't have to deal with what happened. That's why you think it's not true.
Hey, I'm not responsible for what happened. It's our history.
Say it's true then, and let's get past it. Why wouldn't it be true then?
Hey, the war was not about slavery, guys. Slavery was on the way out because the cotton gin was created. Slavery was no longer needed. It was no longer cost efficient. Farms no longer needed slaves. The North was industrialized. They
needed workers. Yeah, they needed workers.
But Patrick, it was about white supremacy. You will agree with that, right? Because they wrote that in all their manifestos when they seceded.
I have no idea what white supremacy is, man.
Well, when they seceded, the word they put in their secession letter was white supremacy. That's the only reason I use the word, because I took the word from, because I read history, and that's the word that they use.
Damn.
I don't think that they're superior. I think actually,
I'm over this.
If you're really superior, you don't have to like suppress your competition.
What documentary? What document
like
says white supremacy?
Succession note, the Mississippi.
It should be the articles of for the Confederation.
And you guys are from the South. You guys live down there.
But not only, but the Union was also white supremacist. So I mean, it was across.
What are you talking about, man? I mean,
because Abraham Lincoln said that the superior position.
We still on Abraham Lincoln. What the fuck?
Hey, is there somebody oppressing y'all? You let me know. If there's somebody oppressing you, you let me know. Okay.
We talking about history, though. We talking about the what history happened.
Can I interject on this one?
Go ahead,
okay. All right. This is how I feel about history, bro. It is what it is, and it happened. What we doing now, what we doing moving forward. Because we always talk about progression, right? And like, my thing is about, I understand what has happened. Back then, I understand the lingering traumas that come with that. However, like, I can't control what happened then. I can control what I'm doing now and what I'm doing moving forward. So, like, I look like me personally, I'm trying to build a legacy, and I don't really care about like that. Me personally, I honestly don't like, and I don't mean to sound like I'm insensitive to it, because once again, I definitely feel like I've had some instances in life where I felt the impact of that. And I mean, I've even just been, like I said, when I tried to go voting the other day, like I saw how that shit like really played out when you try to
your phone breaking up. Hey, so I guess I'll say this. This has been an amazing panel.
Can y'all hear me now?
Yeah, I can hear you. Hey, I'm about to throw it right to you. So this has been a fire panel. We had about 2 and some change, and we almost had 3 hours. In which I think right now is probably a good time to kind of leave closing statements or conversation or points that you kind of want to be made. We'll kind of go around inside of clockwise, so that'll be Vo, then G, then Patrick, then Newton, and then Trey. I'll leave you with the last one. So yeah. I'll throw it to you, Vo. Again, I think we gotten far off what we were supposed to talk about, but we got really like crevice of a conversation that I think is really, really cool. So yeah, vote.
Yeah. All I'm saying is that you know, we gotta like see what's like just really check out what's like going on right now. And you know, we gotta get past the image politics. We gotta get past. We gotta get to the point of where we're holding these people accountable. Because, like I said, I mean, you can have a Democratic representative pull a fire alarm, and he only gets a slap on the wrist, and he pays a $1,000 black dude. Because once again, you know, $1,000 fine that was from the that the taxpayers end up paying, his penalty, and he's not held accountable. You know, like that, and just making sure that we secure like a legacy for ourselves moving forward, like that, like shit in the past. Like I get it, it's just I I can't change that. I can only change what I'm doing right now and what I'm doing moving forward. So, and trying to save up, you know, and build myself like the foundation that I know that I want. So, I'm just saying.
I dig it. G.
Yo, man, like I said, I echo a lot of what he just said in terms of not worrying about all this show and this stuff around us. Like it's really about knowledge of self, knowing who you are, what you're capable of, and not letting these distractions get in your way. But I do want to just challenge Patrick to say that to say that white supremacy is just like you don't know what that is, I think is something to just, I would challenge you to just take a step back and how you're framing that, because when we talk about like the Confederate flag being a part of our history, slavery is a part of American history, and slavery was based off of the color of your skin. And if that in itself is not a clear example of
that's not necessarily true. There are black people that had slaves too. So slavery was
yeah, but see, that's what I'm saying.
And then you
that you know there are black people who in Africa who sold slaves into the slave trade. That doesn't mean that white supremacy doesn't exist. And so there's always going to be exceptions to every rule. But in America, like not just slavery, but Jim Crow, etc., like segregation laws that were defined based off of black versus white. This is just the reality of the country's history. And I think if you feel like the Confederate flag should be represented, then I don't think it should be as simple to say, well, what is white supremacy? But yet we want to stand on the history of the Confederacy. Like it should be all encompassed.
Patrick, it's on you.
It's on you, Patrick.
Well, I was hoping for a little bit more substance of conversation, because we face the same problem moving forward, and you guys want to focus on the past, but we're all across the board, across neighborhoods, across the country, suffering from the same problems. That's an open border. That's record food prices that we've never experienced before. And the majority of all jobs right now have gone to non-American citizens. And the jobs that are available are mostly part-time, low-income jobs. So, I mean, you guys can talk about how you want us to, suffer for the troubles of the people's past. And frankly, moving forward, guys, we have problems that we're all facing, that we could work together and focus on who's creating the problems and hold them account and move us all forward and leave all of this stuff behind that, frankly, I didn't benefit from. Y'all didn't benefit from. Y'all weren't harmed by it. I wasn't harmed by it. So I don't understand how we need to focus on something that really was a long time ago, guys. We have problems today that we can come together and make a positive future for everybody.
Gotcha. So and I guess I'll interject really quickly. Then I'm gonna throw to Trey and Newton just because I know the lane y'all about to go. But
No, we cool.
I have an assumption, but
we cool.
But no, what I will say is that I think that the conversation that we're having and where we're at and where we got stuck at, specifically where we got stuck at, is a really interesting representation of what I think is the divide that ends up hitting Black people. And it ends up being the divide of whether you want to say conservative, liberal, right, left, XYZ. And it ends up being, how many times do we circle back to like the conversation and getting empathy and justification for the past? And then there is the idea of like working towards the future. This is simply like identified, like the left, it's the social justice. The right is to pull yourself up by the bootstrap. In simple terms. But what we see is that, to me, just looking and kind of like trying to be as fair as I could inside the conversation. And I agree with multiple parts. Where I did see us get stuck for a second. I did also see that there is actually like a common goal. And to me, yeah, I just thought it was like a really, really interesting microcosm of what we started off talking about. And like whether you want to bring it all the way from Biden to Trump, but we did see a really interesting microcosm happen and manifest itself right here. Because we didn't end up being able to get into a solution-based space because we kind of ended up infighting. And again, I understand. We have, you know, I mean, we got Patrick here, and it's a fire conversation to be able to also like, hey, tell him everything that I would like to say. Like I said, I think that it's an interesting microcosm, and it's something that, in general, as like the Black community, I don't know if we'll ever get on one accord, but I think that it shows a need for an accord. If y'all understand what I'm saying, I'll throw to Newton. I'll throw to Trey.
Yeah, I was hoping you let me end it, but nah, I will say this. Hey, I agree with you know, what Patrick was saying there at the end. I can't agree. You know, I can when something's right, something's right. So I mean that was right, and I can also agree to disagree with certain parts of it. Like you say, I think there's a common goal, and I think we all want to get to a certain place. I think we have different ideas on how best to get there. I will say, I think the past is very important to the future because you have to know where you're coming from to know where you're going. So just to, you know, say something happened in the past, I can't say that. But I will say this: we all got the same common goal. We all want to get there. We all need to focus on, you know, solutions. Sometimes it's going to take multiple conversations. I'd love to welcome you back, Patrick, to, you know, come back and maybe do it again if you open to it, because I think this is, you know, the start of an open dialogue. Hopefully, next time we can maybe
keep building. It's
get further and maybe unpack it a little more. But I think it's a very interesting dialogue. I also, you know, can agree or disagree. I can also tell you when you right. I can tell you when I disagree. I don't think nobody thinks 100% like the next man. So we always going to agree and disagree on certain things. But I think it was a good conversation. And like I said, I'd love to have it again because I really do want to like kind of pick your brain on some of these things and dive deep a little further, a little more. But yeah, that's all I got. I'll let Trey close it out.
But let's say again, big ups to y'all. I appreciate the panel and being able to be a part of it. And I guess back with the original topic, and also with what Bo was saying, like I think, like, and also what John was saying, to connect all that together. I think history is important because you don't want to make you don't want history to repeat itself. And also, I think we have a lot of ancestors who, like, I think it would be an injustice for us to allow to be tolerant of a flag under which they were considered less than human beings and animals with no rights at all, treated worse than dogs, slaughtered. Even after the Civil War, they were throwing babies into houses that were burning down up until like the 30s. And they were doing coups, and then just basically slaughtering Black people wholesale while they were.
What year was that, Trey?
Patrick,
What?
let him finish out. Let him finish out, and
No,
then
I'm
we'll
just,
kind of wrap.
I got a book I'm reading now called Wilmington's Lie, and it talks about the only coup in American history where they were like just like killing black people, throwing babies in the houses under the Confederate flag. So I think black person with self-respect would
Well,
have
no,
a
they
problem.
actually overthrew the government in there. Where they
Let him,
took.
Newton, let him finish it out.
But all that being said, like what Bo was saying, I don't just because like I won't let history blind me so bad that I don't want Trump to close the borders down just because his father was in the KKK, especially if Biden's not any better. So I don't want let history to blind me to where I'm making an emotional decision and vote Democrat, even though they're more harmful to black people, in my opinion, than Republicans are. But that doesn't mean that I side with his base when wearing Confederate flags and all that at the same time. So, just like I said, back to the topic, like with this election coming up, I don't know if I want to vote for Trump, but I think any black person that's not voting for Biden, without the black vote, the Democrats would be nothing, which is what pisses me off the most because they really give us their butt to kiss while we're the only reason they're there to begin with. So I think we're playing a game of chicken right now to where they think that, if we just talk about big, scary Trump, then they'll vote for us. Well, black people say, nah, we won't vote for you, then bam, they're not going to be in office. They're planning to bring in a bunch of illegal immigrants to give them the right to replace the black vote. That's not going to happen. Then boom. So I'm very excited to see so many black people finally waking up and not being on this Democratic plantation. But what I don't want to see is black people on the Republican plantation and then being okay with like Tim Scott when he was on stage like, "Ooh, I love you, Trump." That was so embarrassing. So I mean, like I'm saying, you feel me? So that's pretty much a good place to leave. Like I'm saying, I'm very pissed off about I see the Confederate flag the same way a Jewish person would see the Nazi flag, and I think any black person with self-respect would see it that same way too. And any person that would fly a flag under which they were treating people like I said, like animals, killing them, slaughtering, all the other stuff. Any black person that is okay with that is I don't have no respect for no black person like that. I think they're worse than white supremacists. But
Can I ask y'all a quick question before we close out? What do y'all think about Trump being indicted by 91 indictments? Is that concerning to y'all? Do y'all think any of them are true? And the allegations that he raped a girl 20, 30 years ago?
Man, we use the law enforcement system.
Yeah, black men don't care about what 12 doing.
Yeah, I mean, we know why they're doing it.
Probably about 5% was true.
All right.
Yeah,
everybody's doing crime in America, baby. So nobody got a clean sheet. Like somebody did something up there to get to that point. So
Hunter Biden smoking crack rocks while his father's putting black people in jail for life for crack.
Now that my friend might be a good example of white supremacy. Nah, let me stop. All right, so listen, again, like we're gonna kind of leave it that. Call Trey Double Down King because he said fuck all the peace. I'm gonna double down on my Patrick, I appreciate you coming. Again, I appreciate the diversity of opinion. In which we always able to kind of challenge each other to kind of think outside the box of what we typically do. Again, Pat, Trey, you closer. You're a little local. We've been waiting for you to pull up to the studio. Pat, if you got time on Sundays 4:30, we are logged in. We stream live.
Hey, what's today, man? It ain't Sunday today, is it? Shit.
That's why y'all caught me.
Nah, today's what, Wednesday. Today Wednesday. Sunday we usually go at 4:30. In which we just have a live podcast show. It's a little bit more lighthearted, but we do touch on a lot of these topics. We go political, we go religious, we go like mental health, we go relationship based, we go all over the place, honestly. But nonetheless, we'll love to have you, Trey.
You need to do a crypto. Y'all need to buy some crypto.
Oh, listen, I'm looking at Ethereum run up happily.
Everything is up right now, so you might want to pause. But
don't buy. You got to buy the dip.
Yeah,
hey, Patrick,
old investment.
I wick.
Hey, Patrick. Hey, I'll mess with you on that. Me and you might argue about something else. But
hey, money talk is easy. Boy.
Money talk.
Hey, so where are you guys from? Where you at? Where you are?
Charlotte. We got Durham up there. We got 2 Durham, Charlotte, South Carolina, right?
Yeah, South Carolina, Rock Hill, Charlotte, the
Carolinas.
Yeah, we pretty much Carolina boys.
It's nice, man. I hear it's pretty out there.
North Carolina is better.
Yeah, it's not bad.
It's not, but they both all right. They both decent.
Even the South Carolinian at the bottom was saying, kind of, and that's why you live up here. But we got to close down this panel because we can chop shit all day. I appreciate everybody that's still here in the chat, everybody that's tuned in. Again, this is the To Be Fair show. Make sure that y'all tap in, Pete. This is also broadcasting on the G-ish podcast. I'll let you leave your drop real quick.
Y'all know what it is. Make sure y'all tap in at GSHPOD. This is the G Shit Podcast where we focus on family, friends, finances, freedom, and our future, and fuck everything else. Shout out to the To Be Fair show for having me on.
All right, y'all. Peace.
Peace, fam.
It doesn't matter how you feel.